Chapter 1. Ever felt that the reality in which we live is not real? Like we are living in a matrix or a simulation. Like your existence is nothing but a concept and one day the man sitting up there will get bored of you and you will no longer gonna exist. I have. Because right now I feel just like that. I jolted up with confusion all over my face, heavy breathing like a mountain was pressing down on me as I gasped for air. The light almost blinded me as soon as I opened my eyes, quickly making me cover them with my hands-on instincts. I slowly tried to keep my breathing under control as I heard many noises around me. Those noises were undoubtedly people, my best guess, children. The only species in the world who can giggle and laugh when someone farts. How do I know? Because I have a nose. It took some time for me to get used to the information overload from my newly found senses before, once again I was bombarded with knowledge which out of nowhere appeared inside my head. Those were memories. Though not mine, it was. I was confused even more now. Ain't those are the characters in one of the anime I watch? The information overload was too much, making my head hurt and making me dizzy. I just wanted to keep my head down to suffer through this irritating info dump when it comes to the memories in my brain. Thankfully, no one was pointing me out on this and maybe I knew the reason. Taking a deep breath, I looked up at the person who was doing most of the talking. And immediately recognized him as the person I remembered from the anime. This was none other than Iruka from Naruto. I look around and notice characters I know from Naruto sitting around the classroom. Hinata, Koji, Ino, Kaiba, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Shikamaru and more. They all were here. And well, I was none other than the cousin of the lazy genius of Konoha, Nara. This particular character never existed in Naruto or at least never has been mentioned before Boruto. And even in Boruto, the face of the character I bear right now was named Shikide, who was none other than Shikamaru's and Temari's son. Almost a carbon copy of Shikamaru. But here I am, almost looking similar to Shikamaru to the point that people might even fooled into believing that we are twins. Well, at least blood brothers, not twins but still very similar. And honestly, if the name wasn't different then I might have even considered the original owner of this boy Shikamaru's son who came from the future or something. I remember that being possible in Boruto. But that is not the case. Not only do I have all the memories of Narashika from his childhood in my head, but even others around him acknowledge him as Shikamaru's cousin. And the original owner was very similar to Shikamaru, lazy as hell. Which is fine to some degree, that he and I are now me. But the only problem is, that I am not a genius, unlike Shikamaru. He can be lazy because he has his mind, but me? Let alone Shikamaru who is considered to be the smartest person in the entirety of Konoha, I don't even have the basic Nara level intelligence here, which for others' knowledge, is obviously higher than the rest thanks to their naturally higher level of yin chakra. Why? Because I am me. Sigh. Having no idea why I am here in an anime and inside a Shikamaru-like body with memories of the past owner of this body, it was surprising that I wasn't freaking out already. Maybe because I was busy freaking out is why I can't remember who I was previously before coming here. It's very strange. Besides having the memories of animes, movies, comics, and books, even normal things like what is nuclear fusion, something which shouldn't even exist in this world, I can't remember anything else, aka my previous life. Everything else was in there. It's like whoever sent me didn't want me to bring anything from my world, especially my own memories. Now not knowing what I was supposed to do, I just decided to keep my head down, pretending to sleep and go through Shika's memories. Good thing I have them. Otherwise, I would have been visiting Yamanaka sooner than I liked. As soon as the class was over, I bolted out of the class. Well, more like a sneak out as I didn't want to talk with anyone. Later I realized that I was giving too much credit to Shika's popularity. Good in a way. As I walk out of the academy, I came to see the world of ninja which I always wanted to live. At least I can remember that much. But that ain't what I should do right now. I needed a plan. How I am supposed to go from here and knowing what going to happen to me in this world. Yeah, I need a really fucking good plan. Just as I was about to keep walking, suddenly I heard a sound. A screen appeared in front of me and apparently only I could see it, at least many others around me didn't react. I kept on walking, not giving up that something was wrong here. Walking and reading weren't that hard anyway. Dash. Main mission, become a genin. Reward, World Beginning Pack, S level. Dash. I blinked at that. Well that was way too little information than I was honestly expecting but at least now I know that I have one of those systems to survive in this world. 1 minute, become a genin? Isn't that like tomorrow? Yeah, the test is tomorrow. Today is literally the start of the canon. If I remember correctly then soon Naruto will paint the Hokage monument. And that was the day when the exam was supposed to take place. Shit. Clone Jutsu, Transformation Jutsu, and Replacement Jutsu. How the hell I'm supposed to master all these three in just one night? Original Shika learnt this but I haven't. Just my luck. Triple X. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 25 comment. Vote. Chapter 2. After realizing just how short of a time I have left to remaster all 3 basic academy jutsu, I possibly can't waste any more time. I just ran to my house or Shika's house that is. It's very annoying acting like I am someone else. Good thing that I don't have to interact with someone right now. For today, just focus on mastering the basic jutsu. Thanks to Shika's memories, I was able to find his place, no surprise that it was in the Nara clan area. Shika is an orphan of the Nara clan. He lived a good life still now thanks to his parents' connection to the current head of the Nara clan. The night of the Nine Tails rampage, both of his parents died. Since then the entire Nara clan has raised him, kind of. The owner of this body pretty much grew up beside Shikamaru until he was 10 years old. After that Shikaku Nara, now my uncle, arranged a place for him. That too was only because the main owner asked him to. After around 10 minutes of walking, I was in Nara land. From then on finding Shika's place wasn't hard. It was a small apartment on one of the two-story buildings in the Nara place. The hallway of the building was old and even needed repairs, but it was maintained well. Opening the door, I saw nothing particularly eye-catching inside. One decent-sized room which can be said is a hall but that was all there was. No extra room, but there was separate bathroom and kitchen, something which I was glad of. That one big room pretty much contains almost everything. There was no bed, Shika used futon as many people do in this place, anime at least in this regard was wrong. No study table either, though I did see a small table on the side, where many books were littered. Definitely a traditional Japanese-style home. Nothing modern or fancy but practical. And though I respect that but I still rather have some modern touch in this place, however, that all after I get some money to spend. Shika Nara, just like any other orphan of the village gets a subsidiary. Not wanting to freeload on his uncle and aunt, 2 years ago decided to move out of their place. Thanks to his uncle he got a cheap place in the Nara clan, cheap enough that his subsidiary was just enough to pay the rent and take enough money left to feed him. Though nothing more. But that was fine by me. I too rather live alone than to freeload on people whom I barely know. And seeing that I will soon be a genin, I can get a better place for myself. Sighing, I moved toward the kitchen. A modest-sized place and it was pretty clean, just like the entire place. The previous owner sure was good at cleaning. Seeing a refrigerator there, my eyes lit up. I knew that he had one but still. Opening it up I found enough food that can last me tonight. More than enough. I quickly changed the clothes to something more comfortable before taking out last night's leftovers to fill my raging belly. I have to say those Japanese dishes are good. Then directly to the matter at hand. The so-called system. Though I can waste another week at just exploring this ninja village but I rather focus on becoming a ninja first. It's not just that I will fail tomorrow if I'm unable to perform the 3 jutsu but even more than that, I might not get the system starting package, which I can't have it. That might be the only thing which can save me from what is about to come into his crazy world. Now that I remember correctly, transformation, clone and replacement are the jutsus which all the students in the academy have to learn. There is nothing else besides that. And if I go strictly anime knowledge then only jutsu which was asked for passing was clone jutsu, the one which Naruto failed in. The previous owner was able to do all 3 but I am not sure whether I can or not. Guess I have to try. Making a simple ram sign, something used to amplify the chakra fusion by combining both spiritual and physical energies, I concentrated. Many don't even have to make this sign but this is my first time, it's always better to start from the very beginning. I at first thought that it would be hard for me but it wasn't, it was almost like the muscle memories from the previous owner came to rescue and I could feel a little warm feeling in my gut. I remember that the gut is the place where the chakra generates so that warm feeling has to be chakra. Good, now let's do the academic 3 jutsu. I smiled as the excitement of being able to do real jutsu was something else. Maybe soon I can learn techniques like raise nan or fireball. Maybe. Next day. Sunlight fell right at my face, disturbing my sleep, which I obviously didn't have enough. Unfortunately, I was only able to master 2 out of 3 techniques in one day. I was sure that if only I had one more day then I could have done with the last one as well but alas, life is unfair. It was harder than I anticipated to remaster that jutsu, even with the original memories it was hard to mold the chakra in a specific way to do jutsu. It's honestly harder to do jutsu than I thought. I started with the one which most likely to come in the exam, that being clone jutsu which I mastered, followed by transformation. But that 2 jutsu alone took almost the entire time I had on my hands. I slept for less than 4 hours and now I was in an extremely irritated mood. The only good thing which I can say in this besides I can use jutsu is that the jutsu I currently have most likely will be enough. We recently just had a jutsu test in which the previous Shika used replacement so Irika shouldn't ask for us to reperform it again. I just hope so. I quickly got up, didn't have much time to prepare for breakfast, kind of knew it after failing on clone jutsu for more than 2 hours straight, I knew what would be the outcome by today morning. I just take out some time to prepare food in advance. Hell, I would have never slept and kept on training but I don't have enough chakra to last all night. Had to sleep to restock some chakra to perform today. After eating I ran out to academy. It was a beautiful day, really pretty and more than anything there was nothing like pollution in this world, the air was as fresh as it could get. Just lovely, but I didn't have time to admire the beauty of the place and ran towards the academy like my life depended on it. Again it was a 10-minute solid walk from my place to the academy but on running, I could reach the place in half the time. I was running a little late so I used some shortcuts I found in Shika's memories. Upon getting to the academy, I just simply sneaked in and sat down on my place, not wanting to attract any attention even now. Only upon settling down that I realized that I was more late than I thought. Less than 1 minute of me entering the class that Irika entered. Almost everyone was there, well everyone except one orange ninja. Surprisingly even here they have roll call. Interesting right? Sakura Haruno. Here. Sasuke Uchiha. Present. Shikamaru Nara. Wake him up. Hi. Shikinara. Here Iruka-sensei. Shino Aberma. Here. Naruto. Naruto. Sigh. Just when Iruka was about to move on, the door of the class opened with a boom. Uzumaki Naruto, present. Dadabo. Triple X. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 7 comment. Vote. Chapter 3. Alright, Shika, your turn. Iruka called for me. Hi. Today was no normal class in the academy. As soon as the task given to us today is done, we can take our leave after getting our shinobi headband. Many already did so, like Sasuke, Sakura and others. Fortunately, I was right, only clone jutsu is being asked from the students today as other jutsus has already been tested out by before in the class. I stood in front of both Iruka and Mizuki. While Iruka was pretty much like how he looked in the anime, Mizuki was a little different. With that white hair, he actually was better looking than I anticipated, though nothing like Kakashi or Sasuke. Clone jutsu, I said while putting my hands in the ram sign, calling out jutsu is such a lame thing to do, but still this once in the test is fine, never again. I took my merry time with this one, though I was able to perfectly perform the jutsu yesterday, but I still put much concentration and effort on my part. Surely I needed more time. Both Iruka and Mizuki noticed the slight delay but didn't say anything, even other kids who didn't learn this jutsu after just one night of crash course like I did took longer than me. I am good on that front at least. Puff. A cloud of smoke then suddenly arose just beside where I was standing. Out of all the things, clone jutsu was the hardest. This was the fist jutsu which require the students to separate their chakra from their body to form a clone. This clone which we all learn in the academy is actually a genjutsu, but not in the normal sense. Unlike normal genjutsu where the shinobi manipulate the enemy's mind, this genjutsu happen in real life, chakra leave after image of the user making an illusion of himself. It can't be touched but can only be seen. That why it's hard because it require good chakra control. When the smoke was removed, an exact copy of me was standing beside me. It's honestly a very strange feeling if I have to say it, looking at myself, but knowing that it's nothing but an illusion was a strange feeling. Like I am looking at a hologram. Okay, you pass. Please take your shinobi headband before going. Iruka replied before writing something on the notepad he was holding. I did just that. The so-called headband wasn't anything special, it was a metal sheet with the logo of the village engraved in it and it was stitched into a cloth. As I was moving out, I found a kid with blonde hair sitting on the swing outside the academy. This person was none other than Naruto. Looking defeated and down. Looking at him, I can't feel but sigh. Not sure whether I should go to him and say something. I stood there, contemplating things. After all, Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the village. There is always an eye around him. And those people who come in contact with him. Just as I was thinking I saw the same notification screen in front of me that I saw yesterday. Oh yes, the starting package. What did I get? Dash. Congratulations on becoming a genin of the hidden leave. The entrance mission has been completed successfully. Congratulations on S-rank curse technique. 10 shadows. 10 shadow is a Zenin clan bloodline technique. The host can summon up to 10 shikigami from his shadow to aid the host. 1 shikigami has been given to the host as the starting package. The host still has to exorcise the remaining 9 by the act of fighting. Host's chakra will act like curse energy when anything related to the Jujutsu Kaisen world is considered. Dash. Suddenly my mind felt like it was filled with knowledge which I never knew before. Getting information about 10 shadows techniques. Oh. I mean the technique is powerful but only for one reason, Daddy Mahoraga. Calling him is an outright death sentence. Can't help but purse my lips at this. Yeah, it's good but, how is this supposed to beat someone like Madara or even Pain? Whatever, having something is better than not having anything. Not like I can do anything about it. Honestly, I am more disappointed in not getting something super OP like Limitless and Six Eyes. But again the mission stated S rank not freaking god. Sigh. Now I gotta capture all those shikigamis first. That should be my very first objective. Blink blink, suddenly something comes to my mind. Knowing the system was pretty much useless at this I just dropped the matter, and thought about what happened in Naruto's first episode. Shadow Clone Jutsu Hey. It's a forbidden jutsu in a way. Pretty powerful even though I might be only able to make one clone. It might be worth it. Once again I glance at Naruto. Thinking about both pros and cons of it. This sure is profitable but not if Hiruzen Sarutobi find what I am doing. That would be troublesome. 1 minute, my mind suddenly clicked. Maybe. I quickly saw the shadow forming thanks to the setting sun. Naruto had a long shadow. Almost casting up to the academy building. Very close to me. I slowly moved towards it and touched the shadow. At first, I didn't feel anything but then it happened, the one aspect of 10 shadows power which I wanted to check out. Maybe this technique is not that bad. Naruto was successful at stealing the scroll of sealing. It's almost baffling how the dead last of the class was able to trick all those ninja around him. Even after most of the competent ones surely were removed by the third Hokage. I am sure that third Hokage knew all of this happening. My knowledge of the anime or canon is good but not that detailed. Ultimately, no matter what, I refuse to believe that someone like Naruto can steal the scroll from under the nose of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Surely the man was looking over Naruto with his magic ball right now. Never show how that particular jutsu or tool works. Unfortunately for him, he can't find me. Why? Because currently, I was inside the shadow of Naruto. Yup. This is one thing which I remember Sukuna doing when fighting with Gojo. Ten Shadow gives this kind of ability to its users. Actually, now that I think about it, there is a lot more to this technique. Just needs a little imagination and execution. It feels like hiding inside a box with all places blacked out. The only difference is that there is no limit to this box. I feel like floating in here. Can see anything in here in his shadow beside my own body. It's strange but I was able to masterfully do this. Maybe thanks to my affinity for shadows. Soon the boy stopped and sat down, most likely reading the scroll. I peeked out a little from the shadow to see what the boy was doing. But unfortunately, the shadow was cast on Naruto's back. Meaning I was only able to see his back when I slightly poked my head out. Man. I can't come out more than this, that will be risking my stealth. Before I came up with some kind of way for me to read the scroll, I heard this. Okay, first is multi-shadow clone jutsu. Oh man, that's my worst jutsu. Whatever, let's see. There is only one hand sign. I sweat drop. There is a reason why those techniques are hidden and here is Naruto, shouting one of them to the entire universe. Whatever, just focus. I am sure that besides that one jutsu, others are mostly fake. Hiruzen won't risk letting the real scroll out of his sight. At least I don't believe so. Soon the event in the canon took place. I just kept my quiet. And at the first chance got out of Naruto's shadow. I thought about whether I should help Naruto but upon seeing Naruto and his army beating the shit out of Mizuki, I just sneak out of that place as soon as possible. I know that not anyone can find me in my shadow form but the Hokage is not just anyone. Weakest in the lineup may he be, but still, he is the Hokage and the professor. I wanted to check out my first shikigami but let's leave that for tomorrow, I also have to go back to my place. It's already getting very late. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemand. Comment. 18 comment. Vote. Chapter 4. By the time I went back to my place, I found both Shikamaru and Uncle Shikaku were waiting for me in front of my house. Apparently, they wanted to invite me to dinner on both me and Shikamaru passing the test. Shika, where were you? Your auntie is waiting for you for all this time, she prepare a big feast for both yours and Shikamaru's passing day, refused to give us any until you came back. Troublesome. Said Shika uncle with a little annoyed look on his face. Shikamaru was not that different in this case, he too was looking annoyed but that annoyed look wasn't directed at me. Ah sorry, I was napping on the hillside, have been working hard for this exam and finally got time I just nap and relax. What else I can say in this situation? I just hope that this excuse work, considering just how much Shika was like Shikamaru. They too easily believe this, making me relax. I gladly went along, avoiding them might be more suspicious after all. All night I kept to myself and tried to act like how previous Shika would have reacted. The dinner was delicious, that I have to say. Anyway, there was a reason why Uncle Shikaku invited me. This is the secret of our Nara clan, usually kids learn this way early but for orphans we wait until they are at least genin, Shikaku said as he brought both me and Shikamaru outside in the night. That is when he showcased the shadow manipulation of the Nara clan. And here I was pondering whether Shika is the only Nara who doesn't know how to do that. Apparently, not everyone from the Nara clan learns this. Only those who become ninja or show promise. There is no scroll or anything, it's been passed down verbally from generation to generation. And even if the jutsu leaks outside of the clan, it's not like others can do it. The amount of yin chakra and control needed makes the jutsu almost unusable for anyone who is not a Nara. And even if there are people who can, what is the point? Ultimately this technique is not that strong, at least not stand alone. There is a reason why the Inoshikacho formation has been so vital and why the three clans have such a good relationship. Without this teamwork, stand-alone neither of the clans is as strong as Hyuga, or clans which used to exist like Uchiha and Senju. So, shadow manipulation was another thing which I planned to put in my training regime. Dash. Main missions list. Promote to Chunin 1 trait/power from any Chunin level shinobi you defeated/killed. Promote to Jonin 1 trait/power from any Jonin level shinobi you defeated/killed. Promote to Kage 1 trait/power from any Kage level shinobi you defeated/killed. Master 10 shadows? Stop Madara's plan? Kill list. First Genin level shinobi 1 trait or power from said Genin. First Chunin level shinobi 1 trait or power from said Chunin. First Jonin level shinobi 1 trait or power from said Jonin. First Kage level shinobi 1 trait or power from said Kage. Dash. I honestly wasn't expecting this. I thought the system would give me power and then go away. But apparently, there is much for me to do. Well, the missions given by the system are clear enough. Though many of them are hard to the point of impossible. Something like mastering 10 shadow. To do that one has to first beat Mahoraga. How the hell was one supposed to do that? Sigh. It's clear that the system wants me to get stronger, and even more than that I have to plan my actions if I want to use the system to its full potential. Besides the promotion list, which kind of gives me some leeway, the kill list is much different. I have to plan who I kill from now on. My first kill in all level matters. 10 missions altogether, in which I completed one by becoming a genin and got 10 shadow power as the starting pack and then had 9 chances to get stronger. Among the 9, 2 are almost impossible. Who gonna make a 13-year-old or even a teenager for that matter a Kage? Gaara became the Kazekage because there weren't any options for the Sand Village. But there are many people here in Konoha who can fill that place. There is no way I can become Hokage in any normal condition. But maybe if I pull some strings. Then there is defeating Mahoraga. Yet, let's just not talk about these 2 missions for the time being. Besides these 2 others are possible, at least to some degree. I should only focus on them. These missions are also not just mindless ones. I have to decide who I am gonna kill, at least when it comes to kill list, I have an option as to whom I go after, and more than that, what kind of powers I am after. The level of my opponent will determine what mission I fulfill, and what kind of rewards I get. So in case even if I plan to walk in the evil path and kill characters like Naruto or Sasuke, I might not get the better part of their powers because they are still genins. I have to wait until they are strong to kill them to get better powers from them. But it's not like I am planning on doing that. There are other people, mainly enemies, who I can kill and get equal or better rewards as well. Just have to plan this out. I know that there are around 6 months before the next Chunin exam takes place. I know because one just recently took place before the graduation. Currently the Land of Fire, or to be more precise, Konoha is in an alliance with Sand Village. Meaning teams from both sides join the Chunin exams no matter which village hosts it. In 6 months one village hosts the exam, and this has been happening for some time now after the end of Third Great War. In 6 months' time, the famous Chunin exam will take place here in Konoha. My best bet is to enter then to become Chunin. What should I do? I'm not anywhere strong enough to participate in that. It's possible if I use shikigamis from 10 shadows, but I don't want to reveal that to others. Not until I am strong enough. Getting attention because I did well in the Chunin exam is a lot different than becoming someone who potentially has a new Kekii Genkai. At least that is what others will think if I use any of the shikigami in front of them. That the wrong sort of attention. Forget what the other villages do after knowing Konoha has another Kekii Genkai. Even the people in Konoha will be troublesome. Danzo and his route is no joke. I rather not come under his radar until it's not absolutely necessary. I might get away with it if I act like they are summon beasts, but not more than one. Sigh, whatever, I need to sleep now. Tomorrow is the team arrangement. I better not be late. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 9 comment. Vote. Chapter 5. There are 27 kids in the class, out of those only 9 will really pass the exam and become genin. The chances of your failing is 66%. That's what Kakashi said in the anime, complete bullshit if I have anything to say. Though there is much truth to what he said, but not in the way he said. First and foremost, it's not at all final that only 9 out of 27 will pass. Made that up because he knew that Hokage appointed 3 Jonin to become sensei for the upcoming genin. Here is the reality, in name, both experience as Chunin or Jonin can take a team to lead, but nobody wants to. In a ninja village, the majority of the ninja population consists of Chunins. Becoming Jonin is exceedingly hard and everyone can't do so. But becoming Chunin in one lifetime, if you are not dead then you always have an option. So if the majority of ninjas are Chunin, where would Hokage will get a Jonin to lead all the 27 people? Even the Jonin he has under his command has better work to do. Most Jonin are old, don't think about Kakashi, he is Kakashi for God's sake, and by extension thinking about any of the sensei from teams 7 to 10 is a stretch. The majority of the Jonin are old and have their own family to look after, why would they willingly accept to look after some kids? Certainly not the goodness of their hearts. And those who are young, well they are the best of the best, why would Hokage will waste their talents on becoming a Jonin sensei? They directly go into envy like Kakashi did, or even worst, root. AKA, no one wants to take a team if not for them to absolutely have to, let them be Jonin or Chunin. It's time consuming, another responsibility on their head, and more than anything does not pay well. D-rank mission can hardly pay for Genin and their sensei, now can it? So the real question here is why those Jonins like Kakashi, Guy, or Kurane would opt to become Jonin sensei. Well, here is the simple logical answer, they don't have any choice. Hokage put them into this work. This especially happens if there is a clan kid or a talented kid in the academy. Then and only then a village will put their resources, aka Jonin, to teach that person or that team. This year is no different, 3 Jonin sensei for 7 clan heirs, 1 Jinchuriki, and to make the numbers even, 1 random good scoring civilian girl, aka Sakura. Hokage personally put them into nurturing this kid, it's also giving face to those clans. This is also a political move as well. Inoshikacho under his son's guidance and Haiga, Aberame, and Inyazuka under his future daughter-in-law. Yup, it's not a coincidence. Kakashi only got students who weren't supported by any clan, even though they were the best. So when Kakashi said that only 9 out of 27 will pass, he was right, but with the only exception being that they already chose the 9. So here is the question, would the village point a Jonin to someone like me? Hell no. At best a chunin, but only if I show any promise in the class, which Shika of course didn't. But they can't see that they are not even trying, especially when I too am from the Nara clan. Maybe not the heir but still. So they pointed a shinobi for namesake, I with 2 others from the class. If any of you can land a hit on me then you all pass, otherwise you all go back. Said a Hokage clan shinobi with haughty tone. Landing a hit on a chunin is outrageous for academy students, let alone a jonin. It's almost impossible for me right now. I just learned shadow manipulation and can't trap anything bigger than a mice. And I am not Sasuke Uchiha to make Kakashi stop reading his Ika in a fight either. The result, we failed miserably. I even try to play the teamwork card on the jonin but not everyone is Kakashi Hatake. Just go back, you are just wasting my time. Said the man with a sneer as Shunshin out of there. Ami and Yutaru, the classmates who could have been in my team if that bastard Hyuga wasn't an a-hole, looked dejected. Don't worry, there are many good shinobi out there who don't have a sensei. Just keep on working and you will make it. I tried to cheer them up. Hey. What you mean, did you listen to him? We have to go back to the academy. Asked Ami. I can't help but sneer at that. Did you see any students who were older than us in our class? I asked with a little raised eyebrow. No. Reply both. Don't you think so that it's strange if students really were sent back to the academy? I asked with a little smile on my face. They blink in confusion. What do you mean? Simple, the moment we get this headband, we are the shinobi of the leave, there is no going back, if we fail assessment from our jonin sensei then we are solo genin, I reply, making their faces lit up. This was the truth, even in the academy, the village doesn't want to keep talented less people. I knew this because of Shikaku and I just joined 2+2 on my own. I long anticipated this outcome and honestly, this is more favorable for me. Having a team means I can't use 10 shadow in front of them, cutting my combat power in half. Another important thing is that I as I am right now can take any D-rank mission I want without any issues and all the money will be mine. Money is going to be a big issue from now on. Up to this point, the village was covering for me, but no longer. Now the mission I do is my only source of income. Not a problem for people with parents but I'm not that lucky. Though calling myself unlucky would not be fair when I have such a nice uncle and aunt, Shikamaru's parents were really nice to me, and they would not back down to help me even now. But I don't want to do that. Getting all the money for those missions will give me enough money to sustain my training even if I don't take them regularly. Have 6 months to prepare for the Chunin exam, not sure how I will join in without a team but I will figure something out. Right now I only need to focus on training. It wasn't even afternoon yet and I had enough time left to start with training. I still haven't called out any shikigami yet. I have to train a little with them before taking them into a reason mission. If I am not wrong then I should have divine dogs, others I have to capture. Let's start with that. Dogs, taijutsu, chakra control, and lastly shadow manipulation. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemand. Comment. 11 comment. Vote. Chapter 6. After happily failing the assessment test, I shamefully came to an open ground to train. Of course, the best place to train for me would be the Nara clan. To be more exact, the Nara forest. It's covered with deer mostly and doesn't have any dangers. It's only been 2 days since I came to this world and only now that I am getting some time to observe the world around me. I would have loved to go on a village tour but right now is the time to grind. Okay, let's start with something basic, I mutter as I look around and after making sure that I am alone, I make a hand sign which looks like a dog. This wasn't a hand sign in the Naruto world but rather a hand sign to summon one of the 10 shikigami from the 10 shadow. Just like the system explained before, I can use chakra to do everything that curse energy can. At first there was nothing but then I felt a tug at my chakra pool, which of course wasn't nearly enough as I would like it to be. Nara people are not known for their big chakra pool. Mine is about as same as Shikamaru. Meaning not that much. This should be a priority for me to gain in both chakra control and chakra size in time. I saw the shadow beneath my leg started to shift and slowly the shadow from its normal 2D shape turned into 3D shape. Like coming out of the ground. It was a noble experience honestly, even better than shadow manipulation. Hell, almost all sorts of jutsu in this world are like that. I succeeded in my very first try, even shadow manipulation needed me a few tries to pull it off but this happened almost instantly. Soon the shadow turns into the shape of 2 dogs. One white and one black, both had some sort of marking on their heads. I was on my guard though, even after knowing that I didn't have to fight this first shikigami, I was still tense. But after waiting there for a second and not getting attacked by them, I sigh in relief. Usually, dogs won't attack you if they have their tongue out and wagging their tails at you, right? Sit, I order, seeing whether they can understand me. And they sat. Blink. Bark. Woof, 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 woof. Okay stop. Okay, that was way too easier than I anticipated it to be, almost too easy. But let's not jinx myself here, before I start any kind of training I need to test them out. Okay, let's race, look at that tree over there. All 3 of us will run from here to that tree upon my signal. Give me your best speed here. I first decided to test out their speed. Woof. Both respond simultaneously. Okay, ready set, Go. Before I could even accelerate, both the shikigamis bolted away from their place, rushing at the pointed tree with all their speed. I seeing things just gulp, not sure now whether they are fast or I am out of shape. Probably both. They both reached the tree at the same time, covering a distance of around 100 or so meters under less than 10 seconds, very close to Usain Bolt, while I took more almost 17 to 22 seconds. I would have been embarrassing but there was no one besides the dogs here so whatever. Need to work on my stamina. I huffed, making sure to remember that. After that came the distance test. I want you to run at the edge of the forest, both on the different sides, and make sure that no one sees you. I command them and they obey. Immediately running it with the same speed as previously shown like they don't feel drained at all. Well, they are not real dogs so maybe that's what really happening. The reason for sending them away like this was I wanted to know whether I could contact with them mentally if they were not close at whether they could sustain their form if they went too far away from me. Both ideas check out, I can command them, even sense them where they are if I concentrate enough. It's like knowing they are there but not sure how. And lastly yes they won't just disappear if they go far from me. Good. The last two tests would be the tracking test and hunting/fight but I can't do that here. So for the time being let it be. Good job, you guys can go back now. I mentally said, pondering whether they would get the command and to my surprise they did. They both vanished from their place even after they were much farther away from me. Neat. Now comes the subject of other shikigamis, they will need me to exorcise them, a fancy term to hunt them down and kill them before they learn who the boss in this relationship. There is a rabbit, a toad, a bird with a human-like face, a giant snake, an elephant, a deer, an ox, a tiger, and lastly the granddaddy of all, Mahoraga. Thanks to my knowledge about JJK world, I know almost all of them beside the tiger. I am not planning on summoning them right now. Dogs are enough for the time being. Let's focus on my own training for now. Replacement, clone, and transformation are the jutsu which I already know. So they will only need me to hone them out to perfection. This jutsu is pretty much useless against experienced shinobi but still, it can give me an edge when fighting some low-life thugs. Shadow manipulation and shadow clone is something that I have to learn, I can barely do shadow manipulation and never try shadow clone. Lastly taijutsu, shuriken jutsu, and chakra control. It's risky to use shadow clone out in the open, genin like me is not supposed to have something like, even the normal variant, let alone the army summoning hacks, however, it can give me that needed edge in training which I need. Maybe hiding the clone in home when he do ninjutsu and chakra control training while I solely focus on the physical aspect? Possible. For the time being, let's start with good old tree walking. Need enough control over chakra before attempting shadow clones. Unlike Naruto I don't have enough chakra to waste on clones. I have to be efficient with them. With my mind made, I decided that today I will desiccate on chakra control. I have enough money for the time being to last me for some time, thus I don't immediately hesitate to take a mission. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 7 comment. Vote. Chapter 7. 2 weeks. For 2 weeks I kept going with my basic training alongside with taking some D-rank missions. When it comes to the D-rank missions, they weren't even worth mentioning, completely pointless but did give some money for daily expenses. The training was more fruitful though, I learned tree walking, completely mastered all 3 academy jutsu, have a basic mastery of shadow manipulation and lastly can make 1 shadow clone. However, when it comes to shadow clone, I hardly use it, after making 1 clone, I can only have few jutsu worth chakra left. Even taijutsu, shuriken jutsu and other things, I have improved. Very similar to any normal genin out there. Grind paid off. I knew that this improvement was nothing special but still seeing my hard work showing results, I can't help but smile. Today was the day when I got my first C-rank mission. I'm fed up with D-rank to the point I am even ready to take a little risk and get outside of the village. As I reached to the Hokage building, I went to the mission center. Unlike in the anime, here not everything is handed their missions by the Hokage. My best case is that Hokage only personally talk with people who are doing either very well or are important to the village. AKA, Jinchuriki, clan heirs etc. Please give me a C-rank mission, I asked to the genin who was in her 40s, missing 1 leg and had 1 scar going down from her old yet beautiful face. Shika right? You just became a genin 2 weeks ago. Are you sure that you need a C-rank mission? Asked the woman with a little raise in her eyes. I am even surprised that she remembers my name. Yes, I think I am ready for a little C-rank mission, I reply with a little hesitation after seeing how she was looking at me with those glaring eyes. Little C-rank mission? Hey? Boy, do you know I lost my leg and got this scar here in one of those little C-rank mission? To me, you don't look ready at all. Said the woman with a sneer. I just pursed my lips at this. C-rank missions in the times of wars were like B-rank missions. Back then it was even dangerous stepping out of the village, let alone taking a mission. Though I by no means claim that a C-rank mission is something to ignore or to take lightly, but I still believe that I can handle it. I said trying to make her convince. You know much about those times hey? Seems like you have a good head on your shoulder, usually people at Nara have those. But people from that clan hardly look that motivated. She smirked saying this. Was that supposed to be a taunt? Who knows? I need a C-rank mission please. I just said again, not wanting to waste time here. Hey, brats this days. Here, but make sure that you come back alive. Said the woman after snorting, but somewhere she was looking out for the youngsters of the village in her own way. So that's fine. Thank you. The mission entails about finding missing children in a small village, not very far away from Konoha. I am surprised that they actually gave a C-rank mission this easily. But again, it's not the mission distribution's fault if the genin tries to bite for then he can chew. On paper this is just a search mission, and if it's anything more than the rank of this mission will no longer will stay at C rank. Took me 3 hours to reach the village. I wasn't in any hurry either, I slowed down in fact, taking my time and enjoying the nature. By the time I reached there, it was already afternoon. Only after reaching there that I realize what a village really looks like. Konoha by no means is a village. It should be called a city. Less than 30 houses, and the population here wasn't more than 300. The village was posted by the head of the village, asking for help. On paper again it's only C rank because it's outside the village. Otherwise, it's nothing different than searching for that cat, Tora. Excuse me, I am from Konoha. Looking for the head as he publishes search mission. I asked a man in his 50s, looking like he just come from farm work. Ah yes, Konoha finally sent someone. Good, please come here. The old man almost looked erratic after knowing that I was a shinobi and personally lead me to the village head house. Is that a normal reaction? I for once don't think so. Even the village head house was nothing special, while other people were living in huts, the head of the village had a real house. It was a humble house, though quite cozy looking if I compare it to where I am been living for the last 2 weeks. The door opened and I saw a short man in his 50s or maybe even older, looking haggard but still smiling at me as he invited me in. I just followed the man in but remain vigilant, who know where a trap could be set up. After a little idle talk, I directly come to the subject at hand. So sir, you posted a request for a search mission. Let's talk about it. How may I help you? Yes, as the mission entailed, children from the village have been missing. We try to find them but we can't find them anywhere. Said the man with a little low tone. I see, how many children are missing, their names, ages, description, and when they went missing. Please explain at the best of your capabilities. This will help me find them. Also, I would like to ask for any of their belongings. I asked after taking out a small notepad, making sure that I put all the information down right. Took me some time, I was surprised that around 20 children were missing from the village. For a village of this size, it's almost all of their children. I did get their belonging, I needed that for my divine dogs to get their scents to track them. I see, then I will be off for now. I will look into the matter. I said as I got out. I am glad that I have a divine dog, searching mission is best for them. Looking around to make sure I am alone, I form a hand sign, my shadow enlarges and from the shadow comes out one dog. It was a black one. Summoning one just cost less chakra. I took out the cloth the village head gave me and make the dog learn the scent. Can you find them? I asked pondering. I did test their tracking skills and training and all the time they accurately track the target no matter how hard I try to hide them. But this is different here, it's been few days since those kids are gone mission. Almost all went missing at the same time and I can't find any obvious tracks either. Woof. Hey? You got a lead. Woof. Cool. That was fast. Good boy, show me. Woof. Maybe they are shikigamis that why their abilities to track are better than dogs. Possible but again I never had a dog to know that. Maybe I should stop my Inyazuka to get some tips later on. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 10 comment. Vote. Chapter 8. It took 2 hours for that divine dog to completely tack down the scent. He was slow in taking time but I am surprised that he even found them. It was inside a forest, pretty deep if I have to say something about it. At first, I thought they lost their way in the forest or suspected wild animals but over 20 kids. It's definitely someone's doing. So I was cautious when approaching and even kept the divine dog as calm as possible. But unfortunately for me, by the time I got there, they were already gone. To be more exact, they were gone for some time. Sigh, all this for nothing. Woof. Those children got kidnapped over 4 days ago. And though I am no Geralt of Rivia but I have played the game enough to know what to look for to find tracks. Whoever did this, they were good at hiding their tracks. I couldn't find anything, to my untrained eyes it was nothing but dirt, roots, and leaves. But they might hide from my eyes, but not from the noses of my dogs. With his help, I masterfully found a few tracks. Like the faint scent of human waste. The scent of alcohol in the air and the little bit of black ash lying around the place. And if nothing indicate that someone was here, then the location itself gave them out. This place was deep in the forest and completely covered and yet open enough to run away or form an ambush. Almost perfect for a small group to hide. Sigh. My best estimate is that they left on the same day they kidnapped those kids. Woof. But this still doesn't make sense, why the mission was posted so late, from the village Konoha is only at a distance of 3 hours. Even if they didn't leave the village at night, they at least should have posted a request on the next day. Why didn't they? I ponder and then suddenly something clicks inside my head. I immediately took out the request paper and read it. Reward 15,000 ryo. So that's why. Normal D-rank mission starts from 5,000 ryo and can go up to an absurd 50,000 ryo, though the high number is only because Daimyo's wife pays good money to find her cat. No matter how irritating, if the mission pays well, why wouldn't someone do it? In fact, I almost see a conspiracy from the village side regarding that cat. Maybe that a ninja cat trained to run away was given to her just to extract money? Whatever. 15,000 ryo is not even half when it comes to a C-rank mission. Those missions should start from somewhere 40,000 ryo at the minimum. This explains why it's been so long since those kidnappers went away. It's not like the villagers requested late but just no one took the mission. Anyone can earn 15,000 ryo by doing a simple D-rank mission. Why would they leave village and do something so troublesome? But by no means do those poor villagers look like they can afford a real C-rank mission pay. Sigh. It's a failed mission. Let's go. Woo. I look back, it wasn't a woof which I was expecting. What? Woof. Dog woof as he looked in the direction where the tax lead to, like he knew exactly where they had gone. I understand he wants to help but they left 4 days ago. There is no way that we can catch up with them. I said as I looked in the direction leading to where the forest ends. The dog didn't do anything after that, only look at me in the eyes. Man, I have no reason to continue this mission anymore. I am not getting enough money for this kind of mission, with this kidnapper in the scene. This mission is not even any more C rank. I have no idea if I can even reach to them if I move out now. Even if I reach them, God knows how much time it gonna take me, and more than anything, I have no idea whether I am even ready for something like this. Fighting bandits to some degree might be possible, but Shinobi. I just returned back to the village. But 20 kids. They took 20 kids. Looking back at the dog, I only stared at his eyes, like the dog was waiting for something like a command. He stood there staring at me. Finally, I couldn't stop myself. Maybe I could have gone back, but I knew I would have regretted. I can't just leave those kids there. So with the dog leading the way, I bolted away trying to catch the group of those kidnappers. It was wise of me to get a map of the entire place when I leave the village. I mostly got it so I don't get lost, but it comes in handy one way or other. From this isolated village, there are many routes. At first I thought that they are trafficking those kids in the capital, which is not that unusual. Without any particular body of authority to check their power, those damn nobles have become so corrupt that now they do anything they like. Very similar to those celestial dragons from One Piece, it's just not that extensive here. I am not even surprised. Power corrupts, and those weak-willed people who have not earned their power like Shinobi, are degenerated to the core. But they weren't going towards the capital. Meaning they are taking these kids not exactly to make them slaves. Kind of makes sense. If those nobles wanted, then why would they go after some kids? Surely they demand beautiful women. So the real question is though, where exactly this people taking these kids? I repeatedly check in the map but I found nothing. The route they took is not even moving towards a town, just leads further away from the civilization. If these people are not working for some third-grade human trafficker, then who the fuck I am going after? XXX. I fully intend to fix all the mistakes you guys point out from now on, so please go ahead and tell me in the comments if you guys spot any mistakes. I will be grateful for all your help. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 6 comment. Vote. Chapter 9. 30 hours, that how long took me to reach to the kidnappers with the help of divine dogs. I was sleepy as hell and was running low on chakra. Don't even get me started with how tired I was after all that time. I only took 3 little breaks along the way, and that too because I just couldn't go on. It's already been almost 2 days since I left Konoha. By now things would have been already troublesome back in the village about my absence. Mainly both uncle and aunt. This was the exact reason I summoned another divine dog and sent him to Konoha with a letter. Just had to deliver the letter to the gatekeepers, and I learned that they got it. The only thing I wrote in the mission was that I needed more time to complete the mission as I was going further north. Do you know what's the north of Konoha or the land of fire? Guess? It's the country of rice. Now many wouldn't understand the importance of a country of rice by just name, so let me put it this way, the country of rice has a shinobi village. Hidden village of sound. The very same is established by a certain snake Sanin. I only realized where they were going after seeing the bigger picture on the map. They kidnap 20 kids and head towards the country of rice where Orochimaru has set up his own shinobi village. Yeah, there is no way this is simple human trafficking and slavery. My best guess would be that they are another one of his unfortunate batch of test subjects. I can't believe that he is kidnapping people from so close to Konoha. Well, it's certainly not him personally, so there is still hope that I can save those children. By the time I reached to them, it was already night. I was hiding up in a nearby tree, trying to scout the place around. 5 common thugs and only 1 shinobi. I can't say his rank and there is no entry of this person in the bingo book. But for the time being, anticipating a Chunin level strength from him will be my safest bet. I mutter as I was planning. Divine Dog did an excellent job, being able to track them at 4-day distance. Even though they were moving slowly as kids can't move that fast, but still, count me impressed. I might have no idea how other dogs do in this regard, let alone ninja dogs, but for the time being, I Nara declare you the strongest. They are sleeping out in the open, at least the common thugs are, they have no idea how open they are right now. And the so-called shinobi too haven't instructed them, which kind of makes sense as to why he should care about them. He wouldn't care whether they live or die as long as they don't know them personally and only work together for profit, but it's still a mistake. While that shinobi was hiding well in the woods and covering his tracks, but this thug here gave away his location. Spotting him at night was hard, but my dog's nose was insane. Most likely they are hiding the children deep inside the forest. I have to find them. Without doing so I can't initiate an attack against the thugs. And then there is that shinobi. I have no idea how strong he is, but I have to be careful against him. The only problem is that I am almost out of chakra, sleepy and tired. Sleepiness I can handle, I am just good when it comes to sleep management, consider it a personal talent. I am tired but not enough that I need to rest right now. But the chakra is the biggest problem here. I never had the biggest chakra pool in the first place, close to Shikamaru, maybe a little better seeing how hard I trained recently. But that is not enough. Summoning a divine dog, even one takes quite some chakra, good thing that after summoning maintaining them needs little to no chakra, but still, I had been maintaining him for very long at this point. Okay, let's see, I can either summon another dog and use shadow manipulation or use one clone one time, and then I will mostly be out of chakra. Sigh, I envy Naruto so much right now. Good thing I have you out here. I look at the black dog in front of me, summoning two dogs would have cost me too much chakra, but if it's only maintaining him then I can do it easily. Another good thing that I summon the black one, he has a natural camouflage effect at night. Okay boy, it's on you again, I want you to find the exact location of those kids, and make sure that you are silent, we don't want to wake them up, I whispered to him, and to this he just nodded. Slowly take me away from the thugs, finding where they are hiding the children. A wise man once said that if something can go wrong, there is no doubt that it will go wrong. Unfortunately for me, I just can't remember these wise quotes when I need them. Only after the deed has been done. I stood in front of a man clearly in his 20s, he was the shinobi who I wanted to avoid the most. Apparently, he wasn't in the place where I thought him to be. That was a decoy. Wearing the most basic shinobi outfit and almost covering his face, he looks kind of menacing. He had his face covered with a cloth and even was wearing glass. No headband on his face to identify his affiliation. You shouldn't have come here, Konoha Genin. Then you shouldn't have kidnapped kids so close from Konoha. It was dark, but thanks to the quickly approaching morning, there was enough light now that I could see the enemy clearly. I could see those kids at my sight. The divine dog did his work excellently, but only when I was so close to breaking them out, did this guy show up. It doesn't matter, you will never go back, said the man as he formed some hand signs before holding onto his own hand. And then rush at me. It was strange, but whatever, I took out a kunao, not resorting to use ninjutsu as I was already running low on chakra. With kunao I swung my hand, it was clear by the man's action that he wanted to touch me with that one hand he was holding. I am not sure why, but I am not that big of an idiot to let him. I dodged and swung my kunao again, but it was clear that the man was much more skilled than me. All I had done was practice fighting, but he had real-life fighting experience, it was clear by looking at how he was fighting. I kept my distance as both of us fought. Making sure that I don't make any noise, otherwise, there is a possibility that those thugs will come here. He was bigger than me and much stronger, but I was faster. And honestly, I believe that this guy was having some problem seeing me in the dark, understandable when he wear those glasses in the night. I pivot as his hand comes close to me and at the same motion throw the kunao I was holding right at his face. Fully taking advantage of his few blind spots thanks to the glasses he was wearing, I landed a hit. It was a point-blank attack and no one except someone with good experience can dodge that attack. It's strange how shinobi don't throw the kunao at close combat fighting. The man was able to barely dodge the attack, it left a slash mark on his face, he was taken aback, and I could sense his urge to take out those glasses. But I didn't let him. Keeping up the onslaught, I kept on attacking. As the fight was happening, he suddenly took out a kunao and instead of throwing it at me, he threw it at one of those sleeping children. My eyes widened, and though the kunao didn't hit any to my relief, but that one distraction cost me. He outright tackled me to the ground and held me down while keeping his right hand on my head. I immediately try to resist, but then something happens. I felt it, my chakra. My chakra is getting absorbed. Eyes wide I look at the person in front of me, earlier I had no idea who this person was, but now I know. There are very limited people who can absorb chakra and this guy was one of them. He originally fought Sasuke in the Chunin exam and surprise surprise he works for Orochimaru. You shouldn't have come here alone. What kind of idiot even takes such an underpaid mission? Coming all the way here for just 15,000 ryo. He said with a little huff, both of us were huffing. I didn't see the price money before taking the mission. First C rank UC. Don't want to put a bad record on my books. I said with struggling as my chakra was getting absorbed. And for the record, I am not alone. Suddenly the shadow under me darkened even more and a black dog ambushed the enemy, directly grabbing onto his neck. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 7 comment. Vote. Chapter 10. Shikigamis are strong, very strong. Only now that I knew that they were much stronger than any normal dogs of their size after seeing the enemy lying there dead in front of me, my divine dog tore him apart within seconds. The man lost his life under only a few seconds, even faster than him absorbing my chakra, which surprisingly was very fast, almost emptying out by already 30% chakra to nearly 10%. I am glad that you are on my side, I said to the dog who was barely visible thanks to his dark color in darkness. He was wagging in his tail like usual towards me. I would have called him cute if he didn't just rip apart a man's throat and had his blood dripping from his jaws as he looks at me with those big eyes. Sigh, it turns out that we both are idiots. I can't help but turn to the dead man and say. He was an idiot because he went to absorb my chakra when he had a clear chance to kill me. Hell, he pinned me down for God's sake. And then the obvious mistake on his part to wear those dark glasses at night. It's fine in the day, but before entering into a fight at night, he should have taken them off. Most likely he forgot. This just shows how even a small mistake like this can cost one his life. I am an idiot because I got distracted in between a fight. That outright deadly. And even though this man was just a genin at best, he was still much better than me. I was lucky in this fight. Good that I hide the dog in my shadow. I could see myself pulling this move quite often when I think about it. While summoning takes a hand sign, delay in summoning and quite some chakra consumption in fight, hiding them in my shadow takes none of that. I just hide the dog in my shadow just like how I hide in Naruto's shadow back then. And boom, given the right time the dog attacked. The attack was almost instant and effortless. I certainly am pulling this move more often in future. Dash. Congratulations on your first kill, you kill your first genin rank opponent. You can choose any of the opponent's powers or techniques. Dash. I see the notification in front of me and was taken aback for a second. Yeah, there is this also right? Knew this guy was genin. But a confirmation helps. Now I know that I clearly need to improve. I said as I already knew what power I needed from him. Give me his chakra absorption powers. As soon as I said that, I felt information getting sink inside my head, making me dizzy there because of lack of sleep, chakra, and all this information overload. That it, I just learned the chakra absorption that easily. Sigh. I slowly moved towards the death man, wanting to see what he had with him. There is a possibility that I might get something good. And I am glad that I did. From his pocket, I found 2 scrolls. Besides his weapons and other equipment which I'm gonna take anyway, weapons are expensive after all, these 2 scrolls were more interesting. I was suspicious of opening them casually, there is a possibility that they have some sort of trap, but after some checking, I opened it nonetheless. One scroll was a sealing scroll, inside I found almost 60,000 ryo. Now that was the money worth to the kind of mission I just did. The other was an even bigger surprise. No, not a surprise but rather a shock. An order from Orochimaru himself. Okay, now this mission is officially out of my pay grade. Just hand the damn thing over to Hokage and be done with this. That was the only thing my mind was telling me. I quickly checked the money, and after seeing no more traps on them, store it on my personal wallet. While I put the man's body in the seal which he had for his money. While doing so I also found a Konoha headband. Oh shit, this gonna be troublesome. This changed the plan. If this dude was really a Konoha genin, then I have to think again about showing his dead body to the Hokage. Sigh, just my luck. I was about to move on and release those kids they had tied up on the side, but before that, I heard something. Looking back I saw some from those thugs. The black dog who had blood on his face grew as more of the thugs came up. Only then did I realize that I have been sitting here for quite some time now. Due to my chakras so low, I wasn't able to move at all. Only after a little rest that I was able to now move. What do you think you are doing, you brat? Get him. I heard them saying as my dog kept on growling at them and guarding me. I was worried a little, but then suddenly I noticed the sun rise behind them. And a smile appears on my face. Shadow manipulation jutsu, unlike what others believe, is pretty useless in darkness. The more shadows around a user, the more easier for the user to use this technique. Shadows need light to form. Meaning it's the hardest to perform shadow manipulation in darkness. It's not like the technique won't work, but there is nothing to grab onto, everywhere is dark, so whose shadow you gonna catch, while the easiest is when the light is there and the shadows are long. Just like right now, I saw the long shadows of those thugs forming in front of me, all thanks to the rising sun. I saw the thugs running at me, and then when they were just right in front of me they paused, more like they couldn't move. Shadow possession jutsu complete, I said with a smile. Their shadow was literally at my feet. It would have been a crime not to do it. WOFF. My divine dog jumped around like he was cheering. Okay, I am still low on chakra. I can't stop them for long. Please take care of them. I said as beads of sweat rolled down from my head. Woof. I took 2 days after that to bring all those kids back. And that was when I was making it quick. But ultimately it was all worth it when I saw the happiness in the faces of those kids and their parents. Thank you, I can't express how much this meant to us, young man. The head of the little village bowed down and thanked me. Don't worry about that. It's fine. Here, I know that this is not enough, but please take this money. For bringing our children back. I looked at the money he was holding, the mission money surely. No, this is enough. Thank you. I replied nonchalantly as I accepted the money. I sympathize with him, but till I have to get the money for my own survival. With that said, now it was the time to move back to the village. Again, it was an 3-hour walk from there. As I reach Konoha Gate, I sigh with relief. Clearly the feeling of returning home after hard work was the best. But I can't directly go back home, has to talk with Hokage about this entire mission and much more. So I tiredly make my way towards the Hokage office. But they didn't let me in. You need permission to meet Hokage-sama, said the genin who stopped me in front of Hokage's office. Sorry, but I have something really important to talk about with Hokage-sama, I replied, but the Chunin doesn't look convinced. Sigh. After making some fuss, I finally got a chance to see the man. It's just that because I was only a genin, they took me lightly. So you wanted to meet me, Shika? Said the old man with Hokage robes on him and puffing on his pipes. Yes, Hokage-sama. This was my first time seeing him after I came to this world. And though he honestly didn't look anything impressive, I knew better. Good, then I am all ears, my boy. Asked Hiruzen Sarutobi as he still wasn't giving much attention to me. More like he just wanted to be done with this. By his face, it felt like this happened a lot to him. Well, we'll see if that face remains like that after I am done. So I explained everything to him. From taking the first C-rank mission to the kidnap of children. From following the criminals to catching them. I have to say that I am impressed, my boy. Being able to track the kidnappers from this long distance and taking down all those genin and the thugs. You surely have grown. Said the Hokage as he smiled at me. Was he thinking that I was here for praises? Well, that's what happens, but the real reason why I am here is before that genin happens to be a Konoha genin. This finally brought a serious look to his face. Are you sure? He asked. I got this on him. I saw the headband to him. But even more importantly, I found this on him, I said as I took out 2 scrolls and the money I got from the genin from my pocket and showed it to the Hokage. I decided to give the money back, knowing that the man was Konoha shinobi. There was a possibility that those Yamanaka who could get the memories even from dead bodies, I just didn't want any trouble. Hokage didn't even give 2 glance at the money and saw the 2 scrolls in my hand. This one contains the body of the person while this is the one why I directly reported to you, Hokage-sama, I said and handed over the scroll to him. As he opens the scroll after checking it, his eyes widen. He read it again, and after making sure that the scroll wasn't a fake he closed the scroll and looked at me. I assume you read the scroll? He asked. I just nodded. I see, then I would like you to keep the matter secret here. Hokage said with serious look on his face. I understand. I just reply without delay. Good, and you did good, my boy. I will count this as a C-rank mission on books, but this is easily a B-rank mission. And with the information you have brought here, it can be considered as A rank. To keep the matter a secret I have to put a C-rank mission on your records. This is also to protect you. Do you understand? Said Hokage. Yes, Hokage-sama. I reply, honestly not caring much. Good. Reply Hokage again, a smile on his face. Though officially it's a C-rank mission, but the village will reward you. Here, you get this from the enemy shinobi, right? It's yours. Hokage said as he pushed the money back to me. A smile appearing on my face. Thank you, Hokage-sama. I can't help but smile and say. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 12 comment. Vote. Chapter 11. After coming back, as if meeting the Hokage wasn't enough, I had to listen to quite a few things from both my uncle and aunt as well. Just like I thought, they were worried about me. But still, they gave me some slack as I was exhausted by the mission. Thought that didn't mean that I escaped the tongue lashing which surely would come. I just decided to not do anything for the time being, just rest. After one day of doing nothing besides sleeping, eating and complaining about the lack of entertainment in this world, I sighed and was ready to go back to the grind. Of course, I won't be visiting Shikamaru's home anytime soon, that would be another headache. It's time to go back to grind. The next morning I was in front of the Konoha Ninja Library. This wasn't the first place I came in the early morning. I originally wanted to talk with an Inyazuka. The problem was that I didn't know any other Inyazuka besides an annoying loudmouth brat. Kaiba Inyazuka. So I went to the training ground 8 to meet him, but he wasn't there. Ironically, Konoha marked the training ground with numbers and to make things simpler assigns the team a training ground with the same number as their team. That's why I went there in training ground 8 as Kaiba was in team 8 with Hinata, Shino and Kurane. But he wasn't there, most likely on some mission. So coming here was my next best option. Here in the library, I can get something useful. I learned from the last mission that I am highly inexperienced when it comes to real fights. Training alone and practicing katas is not the same as fighting someone for real. Even sparring is better than training alone. So I needed someone to spar with, no idea where I could find someone like that, maybe Guy and Lee, maybe. But before I do that, I need to fix the obvious flaws in my taijutsu. I am here especially to get a suitable taijutsu style for me. The academy style is good but it's not suitable for me, and the Nara don't have a particular style since they are not close combat fighters. They do have developed training styles based on many other styles, but that's nothing specific. I enter the place, and looking around it looked pretty empty, not many people seemed to come here. I read that only the ground floor was available for genins. To get better techniques, one has to be of higher rank. And even in that case, the jutsu here are not that great. Fortunately for me, I am not looking for jutsu. When it comes to taijutsu, there are a few styles which could be useful to me. Took me half an hour to search around the place and finally find the right one. Strong fist style, swift style, and a few more. While the others didn't attract my attention, the two taijutsu clearly did. Because maybe others can't recognize style by names, but I who have seen Naruto, can. Strong fist is Guy's taijutsu style. And the swift style. If I am not wrong, then this is the style that Minato Namikaze himself developed. Now this could be just me contemplating things, but I believe in my Naruto knowledge. But which is the best one for me? I am not super strong and certainly can't focus all my attention on physical training. It's possible, but I don't think so that I can do that. The swift release is better for someone like me in this regard. Though I am not that strong, but I am slightly faster than others. Not to mention being fast in taking down enemies is more important for me than beating the enemy with brute force. Yeah, this could work, mostly working from the shadows, capture them and quickly take people down. That could work. I smile and memorize the style. This is a very common style in the village. Though nothing compares to the academy style. If I can make some changes in this technique with the help of a taijutsu genius like Lee or Guy, I might be able to make a proper style for myself. When it comes to jutsu, well, I needed none for the time being. I have many shikigamis to exorcise before going after learning a powerful jutsu. And it's not like I can get a good jutsu from here anyway. This library doesn't hold that kind of thing. Even in Chunin and Jonin levels, finding good jutsu gonna be hard. I might be able to get something like Fireball or other C-rank jutsu. Yes, Fireball is C-rank jutsu and in the hand of a master maybe B-rank, but that's it. But why waste time learning a jutsu which never hits? Honestly, if anyone has seen Naruto, then they would know. That ball of fire is nothing but waste chakra. And I am even not sure what my chakra affinity is. Anyways, no jutsu for the time being, and if I am learning, then I rather put time into learning something good. After getting out of the library, I went home, now knowing the current extent of my chakra. I knew that it's one shadow clone, then I could afford to make it. But can let that clone work around the village. So I'm gonna make one clone at home and make him do shadow manipulation practice. Even now my shadow manipulation was on the basic level, so I needed it to improve to the level that I could capture many people at the same time and increase the speed of my shadow moving around. In the Chunin exam, if only Shikamaru's shadow was faster, then he could have captured Temari much faster without any outstanding planning on Shikamaru's path. Which I am a fan of, but still I rather just have my shadow faster and stronger over coming up with an excellent plan out of my ass in all my fights. Not like I can do something like that anyway. I am by no means Shikamaru Nara. Leaving the shadow clone alone at home to do the training, I leave the place to do my own training. Mostly working on my taijutsu. After that I just went to train in the newly found taijutsu style. I honestly just wanted to put a shadow clone on this, but that won't do. Firstly, the physical aspect can't be trained with shadow clones, not to mention I already have a clone working on shadow manipulation training. I can't make more than one clone anyway. Okay, for the time being let's not worry about that. My chakra also has limitations. But there are surely other ways that I can grow, right? Like Genjutsu, healing, Fuinjutsu, and Kenjutsu for close combat fighting. There is much to improve on. But involving myself in something new, I first should master something I already have. While my clone works hard on shadow manipulation and I work on the taijutsu and shurikenjutsu, the only thing which is left right now is 10 shadows. That is my real power. My divine dogs did great, but only having them is not enough. I need to form contract with other shikigamis as well. The simple ones are of course rabbit and toads. But the rest are troublesome. Have to find a way to trap all of them. The rule is that I can't have anyone else in the exorcism ritual beside my already contracted shikigamis. But I can decide where and when to start the ritual, that with already enough information about all the shikigamis from the anime, I can come up with some good traps to catch them all. He. Triple X. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemand. Comment. 7 comment. Vote. Chapter 12. After my first C rank mission, I kept up with some simple D rank missions as well. Though I absolutely detest them, but technically they are more efficient if my training is considered. Doing a C rank mission takes somewhere around an entire day to a few days. Meaning I can't train while I am outside the village. If it was with a team then it makes sense to train, but due to me being alone, I have to keep my strength all the time. Compared to that, while I get paid less here doing normal D rank missions, but I can continue my training all the time. But still, that doesn't mean that I won't be doing C rank missions anymore. It's just that I won't be taking them too many. Right now I have money and time. I should put all my priority on getting stronger. Now when it comes to grind, well, I have been keeping up good with training. Swift fist style, shadow manipulation, shurikenjutsu, kenjutsu, and working on my 10 shadow technique. I already contracted with both rabbit and toads. In fact, it was very simple to trap them too. I just summon all those rabbits on top of a lake. To my surprise, instead of drowning they swim out of there. So I have to stop all of them. There was an entire swarm of them, from coming out of the water with my shadow possession and then letting my dogs take care of them. Took too much time for my liking, but it worked. To capture the toad, I just ended up using the rabbits. The more chakra I put, the more rabbits I can summon. I just summon enough to block all sides. The toad's mobility was the biggest problem for me, but once that was gone, I was able to capture him with shadow possession. To my surprise, I only ended up summoning one big toad, not Jiraiya or Naruto level big, but still big. I ponder how Megami could summon multiple toads. After practicing a little I learn how exactly. It's about imagination. I have come to realize that 10 shadows is very much dependent on how I imagine things to happen. It's very different from ninjutsu. Now with 3 shikigamis I am much better equipped to take any C-rank missions. But I'm not planning on taking any mission for the time being. I am again returning back to the grind. To be more specific, I am going back to chakra training. I already mastered tree walking but never tried water walking. I need to complete that quickly. This was not just because I like running on top of the water, or I had to use a rope to hang on top of the lake to summon those rabbits to drown them in the lake, which ultimately didn't work anyway. If anything, that is only few parts of what I am here for today. To be more exact, I need more chakra control. It turns out that one needs really good chakra control to masterfully control the shadow around him. While I have been working hard on my body in close combat fighting, the only clone I can make has been working hard to master shadow manipulation at home. There is improvement but just not enough, and I know why. My chakra control is shit. To really be able to stop powerful shinobi and strangle them with a shadow or even increase the speed of my shadow, I need to increase my chakra control. With my knowledge of Naruto, there is only 5 chakra control training methods shown in the anime. Sticking the leaf to any part of the body, tree walking, water walking, learning healing jutsu as that too needs good chakra control or genjutsu, and lastly a particular A-rank jutsu which requires excellent chakra control to master with just one hand. I really don't want to thin myself out with trying to learn multiple things right now. In the early days I should stick as much as possible to the basics. And that is why I plan to first master the water walking and then see where it takes me. And while I do this, the clone back at home will be kept on working on the shadow manipulation. To start my training I needed a place with water, so I went to the same lake where I tried to drown those rabbits. Taking out my ninja sandals, as it might be a little easier to start like that, I slowly put my feet on top of the water. And it immediately sank. Okay, let's try to focus chakra there, I mutter as I again try, slowly trying to rotate my chakra at the bottom of my feet. And then for a second, I noticed that I felt the water felt a little more solid under my feet, so I tried putting more pressure on the water. Okay. Seems like it's working. After 2 hours I was completely drained with water, sitting there with a tired look on my face. 2 steps, in 2 hours. Quite an impressive performance I must say. Suddenly a voice came making me alert, though it was still inside the village but an attack can come from any place at any time. This world is just that much dangerous. I snapped my head, only to look at a girl of my age, with 2 buns on her head, wearing a pink sleeveless shirt and Anbu-style pants and shoes. I recognized her the moment I saw her, she was Tenten. But I can't act like I know her. Oh please, that was clearly 2.5 steps, I reply with a roll of my eyes, looking at the girl, I can see that she was not that girl but had her own charm, and she was pretty, in her own way. Oh sorry, 2.5 steps. I see the girl rolling her eyes as she came closer with a smile on her face. Tenten, I am a genin like you. 1 year your senior. She said as she sat down on a rock with a little smile on her face. I don't remember her personality this chatty in the anime. But again this is not the anime. Shikamaru, just became a genin. I reply introducing myself. Don't you think it's a little early to learn water walking for you? She asked, with a little curiosity in her eyes. I need better chakra control, it's not the water walking I am after. I after thinking about a little said honestly. She looked a little confused after hearing this but then didn't continue the questioning. So you master tree walking already? She asked like she was talking with an absolute rookie who don't even know that one has to do tree walking before water walking. Yeah, all done. I reply as I felt my chakra recovering. That was the reason why I was waiting here. This was the only way that I can continue and the only way for me to increase my chakra pool. To continue to drain all my chakra in training, rest and repeat. Are you training here alone? Where is your team? Tenten seems to have a free day today, otherwise why would the girl waste time like this? I don't got one. I am a solo genin. I reply, honestly though I like not being alone here but still I rather not talk when I am so tired that I just wants to feel asleep right now. So you learn tree walking all alone? She asked with a little surprise on her face. Pretty much. What you are doing here? You look like someone who got a team unlike me. I asked, now getting interested why she would come here. Actually, same as you. She at this look a little sheepish and she ruffled her hairs. I just blinked my eyes at this. You are learning water walking? I asked, confused. There is no way that even after being genin for 1 year that she don't know water walking? Yes. My team focused too much on taijutsu and close combat fighting. So our Jonin sensei didn't focus too much on these things. Tenten replied with a little embarrassed look on her face, it was clear that the girl was trying to not blush. Seems like we both got it rough, team or not. I reply with an amused face. Say, why don't we train together? It's pretty lonely training alone here anyway. Won't mind a pretty company like you. I said as I slowly stood up, ready to go back to grind. Tenten on the other hand after hearing this took some time to digest the compliment. Acting like she never got a compliment like that. It completely caught her off guard. What you say, wanna train together? I raise my eyebrows in questioning gaze. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 10 comment. Vote. Chapter 13. I have to say that training with Tenten was fun, and far better than training alone. The girl was funny and not like many girls who like to gossip. Tenten was different, tomboy and mostly driven to her work. By the time we were done, both of us were drained completely, and out of breath. Water walking by no means is a walk in the park. Anime just doesn't give enough credit to those who can master this. Understandable in a way, anime only follow the strongest in this world. Normal shinobi like me or Tenten here are not in that league. But of course, I by no means plan to be ordinary in the future. I will get strong. That was much better than the other times I did this. Tenten huffed as she took out a scroll after putting some chakra on his hand. She put it on the scroll and then with a puff of smoke, dry clothes and a towel came out. Here. She just tossed one of the towels to me before taking the clothes and going inside the forest. Don't dare peek. She said offhandedly. I wasn't planning to, but if that's an invitation then I'm game, I remarked back, though actually never meant to do that. She is still 13, what st here is to see in that? I too am 12 true but still. I prefer a little mature girls. No matter what kind of standards this world has for a couple of age, I ain't interested in anyone below 15 or 16. Tenten hearing my reply just showed her tongue and went inside before saying. You wish. I too brought clothes for myself, I can't make scrolls nor have too much abundance of money to buy them, so I don't carry them. But my shadow acts like a ceiling scroll so I now carry most of my stuff there. Soon, we both sat on a stone nearby, just talking before going back to our daily life. You know what, I actually like this training session better than training alone, even to some degree it was refreshing. You are a nice company, Shika, she said with a smile on her face. Really? I don't think that I am the best conversationalist or anything, I reply, I myself don't think that I have good conversation talent. I am pretty dull when it comes to ideal talks. Haha, yeah you were quite focused when training, quite silent, but quieter is not bad. I know believe me. My teammate and Jonin-sensei are very, let's say driven to their training so it often makes things quite lively. Tenten replied, with an expression which made it feel like she thought of something which she didn't want to. I can understand what she might be thinking, an image of two green spandex ninjas came to my mind and I understood the poor girl's situation. As someone who prefers silence and calm myself, I too can't handle being in a team with people like Might Guy or Lee. They are both very good ninja but just too loud. I rather prefer solo leveling. I see, then I am glad you enjoyed the training. I too am glad that you were here. Training alone is quite boring. Having someone to talk to from time to time is just as you said, refreshing. I reply with a smile of my own. So Tenten, why are you learning water walking? I understand that you just wanted to learn this but there has to be a reason, right? Because you didn't have to do this alone, you have a team, even if your Jonin-sensei focused more on other aspects, but sooner or later he would have taught you. Why train in this early? I wanted to know, trying to understand what's going on with Genin who has a Jonin-sensei to learn from? Ah, you got me. True, I don't have to hurry in learning this. But I have to, the reason is just as same as you. Tenten responded as she had a different smile on her face now, this smile was more innocent and her eyes had a little shine. Chakra control? I asked. It's my dream to become a great kunoichi like Tsunade-sama. To learn healing jutsu like her, I need good chakra control. She responded, her eyes shining like stars at this point. I see. I remember from the story that this girl idolized Tsunade, many girls her age did actually. Tsunade was by no doubt the strongest female shinobi by fame in the current world. I see, that's a good dream. If you don't mind, may I ask a question? I asked, thinking about something. She blinked at this but nodded anyway. Do you desire to become a strong kunoichi like Tsunade Senju or a strong healer like her? I asked. I asked because I knew that in the future Tenten never actually become a healer. She was always been a weapon specialist. Not a healer. In the entire run of Naruto and even in Boruto, she even opens a weapon tool in future. Hearing me, she looked a little confused. To her, there was no difference between the two things I mentioned. Seeing her confusion I nodded. You are a talented kunoichi already Tenten, and don't think I am just flattering you, you got appointed in a team, and got a Jonin-sensei, this means that you are already better than the most. But just because you idolize Tsunade of the Sunin, that doesn't mean you have to walk in her path. She became great because she pursued her talent and interest. If you have talent and interest in becoming a healer then sure go ahead, but if you are just planning on learning healing jutsu to become a healer because you want to be like Tsunade then that might be not the right choice. You can become as great as her, even better no doubt about it, but you have to see where your heart really is, where you shine the most. I said, giving genuine advice to her. Though I shouldn't as I just met the girl and don't know her much but in the anime, I like her character. She was the only kunoichi besides Temari who wasn't out try to waste. At least in the first part of the show. Hearing this the smile on her face dropped. She wasn't frowning or anything but still the change in facial features were apparent. Sorry, I don't intend to discourage you or anything. I just feel like telling you this because I truly believe after seeing how hard you trained today that you can become a strong kunoichi. You have the drive it takes, and that's why I don't want you to only focus on one thing because your ideal is good at this too. I hurriedly said. Nah, it's fine I understand you mean well. She immediately smiles back and waves her hands. Actually, I have been trying to join the hospital to become a healer for long but I can't even do the basic healing jutsu. I don't have the needed precise chakra control to do even the basic healing jutsu. I keep on working hard but I just can't see any improvement. She replies with a frown. I didn't say anything, just stay there in silence after that. For some time we both just sat in silence. I saw after some time that it was already getting dark, so I said. Don't give up. I know that you can do it. If you need any help then feel free to ask me. But I will stand by my estimate. To me you look like someone who has mistaken her dream to become a strong and powerful kunoichi into turning into another Tsunade Senju. Remember, you don't have to be another Tsunade to become great. Only when you become like the Tenten you envision in your future that you will grow in real sense. Again, I believe that you can do it, I am sure of that. I said as I stand up. Leaving without saying anything didn't feel right to me. As I kept walking I heard her saying. I still stood on water longer than you. My eyebrows twitch. Yeah, but not for long. I reply without turning back. You mind training together again? It's really boring training alone. She asked. Pretty straightforward. Well, I like girls like that. Sure, just as I said, I won't mind pretty company like you. I smile before turning back again, but this time even wave back to her. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 15 comment. Vote. Chapter 14. After that day, I had someone to train with. And to my surprise, Tenten came there quite often, which made me ponder why she is not training with her team. Upon asking I learned that Guy solemnly focuses on ninjutsu and ninja knowledge. To cover this he sometimes did bring other chunin and jonin to help his genin, but those days were rarity. Now Guy was a really good sensei for both Lee and Niji. Lee was just a mini version of Guy while Niji specialist in both taijutsu and sensory part in their team. This only left Tenten. Thanks to being in Guy's team her taijutsu was better than most people. I doubt that even Naruto can beat her in taijutsu if he doesn't resort to his shadow clones. Of course, Naruto would outlast her when it comes to a prolonged fight, but honestly who he wouldn't? That is why Tenten, after doing some D-rank missions with her team, ends up training on her own. Though not this often, she did accept the fact that after meeting me she now comes here in our usual training ground more often. Our training soon went from normal chakra control to other aspects like taijutsu, fuinjutsu, and especially kenjutsu. I felt that I was getting the better deal there as the girl was often teaching me than actually getting trained. But she did seem to enjoy the side banter. I should treat her for helping me out one of these days. Under her, I learned quite a bit. Our chakra control was approximately equal at the start, but I pulled ahead of her quite fast. It turns out that Tenten's chakra control is not that great. It's good for anything else but not precise work. For this reason, it took him some time to learn water walking. I who was already done with the training before I helped her out here and there. To the best of my abilities. In taijutsu, she was better but I was catching up. She didn't seem to be interested in taijutsu, which makes sense, that was the reason why she wasn't working right now with her team. But she helped me out nonetheless when I asked for kenjutsu training as well. That was one thing, her eyes always shine at weapons in kenjutsu. Any kind of weapon and she is game. Maybe I should look out for better weapons when I go out for missions for her. Maybe. Now kenjutsu for me was an optional thing, but when I had such a genius in kenjutsu like Tenten here, not learning from her felt idiotic. I tried from swords to nunchucks but none suited me. I need my hands free to form seals in a fight. Summoning shikigami and capturing with my shadow possession jutsu is my only gimmick right now. I can't have my hands tied up with something like a sword. To solve this I either have to get weapons like how Asuma used in the anime or have to learn single hang signs like Haku could do in the anime. Is that even possible with 10 shadows? I have no idea. So for the time being, I am learning with swords with Tenten, but am not sure whether I will continue with this or not. The most interesting part to me though was Fuinjutsu. In the entire Konoha 12, Tenten is the only one who knows anything about Fuinjutsu. And though even her knowledge isn't that much, but even basic knowledge from her was useful. In fact, now that I have mostly improved my chakra control, I plan to put the one clone I always have active and working at home switch from shadow manipulation to Fuinjutsu. Fuinjutsu is useful as hell and I would be an idiot not to learn it. So today again I have arrived here in the ninja library to get some books about Fuinjutsu. I need something about Fuinjutsu please, I asked the girl managing the library. She had long hair with brown big eyes, not a character from Naruto, but she was pretty. Fuinjutsu, you might get some basic Fuinjutsu scroll on the last shelf there. She replied immediately like knowing the library like the back of her hand. Thank you. I didn't bother her anymore after that, though I was still surprised that she was working here. She didn't even look like in her early 20s. But again, people here age slightly slower thanks to the excellent natural environment and no pollution. Not to mention if she is a shinobi then it also makes sense. After all, training makes you fitter. I took 3 scrolls from the shelf and went to the nearby table to read them. The idea was to memorize all the basic characters. Of course, I can't do that like some geniuses, so it took me a long time there, almost an entire day. Sealing is much like programming. But at the same time not a program. Sealing has its own logic and numbers here don't apply. But the basic logic which one might use to build a basic program also works here. The seals are like broken codes. The thing which makes Fuinjutsu hard is that we have to make something out of these broken codes. It's not like we have enough knowledge here to build the program ourselves. We can only use what is given to us in the form of these complicated seals, which again is very hard to pinpoint what they will do if used in various different combinations. Sigh. It's clear that I need a teacher in this regard. Even Minato had someone like Kushina and Jiraiya to learn from. While Tobirama created Hiraishin, I don't at all think that he was able to do that alone. Surely his connection with the Uzumaki and especially Mito helped him. Sigh. Unfortunately, I have no one like that around me besides Tenten right now, and even she only knows the most basic of Fuinjutsu. I certainly won't be sealing Baiju anytime soon. But necessity is the mother of invention. I will just give all the seal to the clone and let him figure things out. Hopefully, he can do something about it. As I was done, I was ready to leave. It was already time to close the library anyway. Thank you for your help earlier. Before leaving, I made sure to thank the librarian again. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 14 comment. Vote. Chapter 15. Finally, it was time to take another C-rank mission. This time I was stronger and more prepared. So with a smile on my face, I reached the Hokage building, to the same woman who delivered the missions to everyone and asked. Please give me a C-rank mission. Hey, you again. Again ready for another C-rank mission, hey. Good then, here take this. She said as she didn't talk much like she did last time and just handed over a paper to me. To this, I blink with confusion. She didn't even see the what paper she gave me. My eyes can't help but twitch at this. This woman clearly wasn't doing her job rightly. Hope she is not the one rating the mission as well. I looked at the paper in my hand with scrutiny, but upon seeing the clear C rank written on it, I accepted it. I also made sure to see the reward this time, just in case. The last time I got the money for my work, but that was only because I accidentally brought info about Orochimaru to Hokage. Not all times are gonna be the same. The mission was clearly paying good money. And all I have to do is to bodyguard a celebrity. Good enough for me. So after again checking everything I had, I left the village. My target this time was a small village at the nearby border. It should take me around 6 hours to reach there if I keep up with normal shinobi speed. It was early in the morning, so that ain't going to be an issue. It's been some time since I took that last C-rank mission, and from that I have grown quite a bit. So as long as nothing crazy happens, I should be alright. After 6 hours of constant traveling, I finally arrived in a small village at the closest border between the land of fire and the land of hot waters. Yeah, I was quite far. But for a shinobi, covering up that distance is not that hard. Konoha is not that far from the border anyway. By the time I reached there, it was already evening. I knew that finding the client would be hard as well. There wasn't any address given in the request but just the name of the village. Sighing, I couldn't help but ask around. While asking the vendors about the job request, I suddenly heard a commotion. I follow the sound only to find many thugs surrounding a beautiful girl. Here in the open. Geez, life can't be any more troublesome than this. It's quite embarrassing to say, but maybe I finally am starting to understand why my cousin Shikamaru is always so uncaring, that way he doesn't have to worry about every little thing. I was about to go to help the pretty girl out, but the woman I was talking to earlier suddenly stopped me. Let it be, young man. It's not what you think it is, said the old woman who was selling some dumplings. I instinctively took out some money and handed them over, motioning her to pack some for me. I was after all was traveling for 6 hours and was hungry, but simultaneously also asked the woman what she meant by this situation. Those are not thugs but rather her crew? She is a famous celebrity, a movie star who came to shoot here, some time ago. But apparently, the girl doesn't like working that much. This was her 8th or 9th attempt to skip her work, said the grandma as her hand completely defied her slow talking speed and all other laws of physics when packing those dumplings, counting the money while she was still looking at me and finally putting them in her hidden wallet. I was dumbfounded. A suspicion that this old woman was a kunoichi in hiding rose in my head, but I just stopped my drifting mind and focused on the commotion. Celebrity, hey, that's exactly why I am here. I took a bite of my tasty dumplings and moved towards them, intending to get the job and make some money. It turned out that the woman was indeed a celebrity. Her name is Yuki Fujikaze, a movie actress, and I was hired by her manager to guard them as their recent shoot is happening in the land of snow and there is a possibility. What, you guys going to the land of snow? I almost shouted, sorry to cut the internal monologue there, but that is insane. I didn't know that I had to leave the land of fire for this mission. I am though preparing for an extended trip, thanks to shadow space. Yeah, that is what I am calling the storage my shadow gives me now. I can carry more stuff with me, but what the hell? Yes, we are going there. Why? Is there any problem with that? Asked the manager like he didn't know anything. Of course, there is a problem. Why did you post a C rank request for an out-of-the-country mission? I asked with exaggeration on my face. I didn't want to go back now. That would be a waste of time. Though there is no rule stopping from genin from taking a mission which may take them outside the border of fire, but which genin would do that willingly? Even a chunin doesn't do this alone, let alone someone like me. Sigh, I am sorry but I can't take this mission. I sigh, though unwilling, but I have to give up on this mission. Doing a mission and not wasting time is cool and all, but this mission is clearly borderline B rank by just me being have to go outside the whole damn country. Now nothing wrong if I had a team or a jonin leading me, but alone, it could become a problem. But, we have to leave immediately, we are already behind schedule thanks to Yuki-sama's shenanigans, and we can't wait anymore. The manager said with a troubled look on his face. Yeah, I am truly sorry, but you should have thought before you sent the request. Though again, it's also not your problem. Usually, this kind of problem happens when a mission request is sent via a letter or a message. If any of you personally had come to Konoha with the mission, then Shinobi there would have taken all the right information from you before assigning the mission rank. Sorry. This fault is nothing new and not something that the village doesn't know of, but they still refuse to fix this issue, because this could reduce the mission Konoha get. Though not many missions come through messages or letters, but still village refuses to do anything about it. It's after all about the revenue of the village. Sigh. As I was about to move on, the manager asked. How long will it take to get another shinobi who can get this mission? He asked with panic. Well, you have to write a letter to the village, I can deliver it for you, this time write the request in detail. At best in 3 days, the village will send a Chunin level shinobi for your request. I, after thinking a little, honestly reply. What, that won't do at all. There is no other way, the man sounded even more anxious. Why you are in such a hurry? It's only 3 days. I roll my eyes after seeing his antics. You don't get it, we need to leave to the land of snow. We already booked a ship for that. Every day we have to pay ridiculous ryo to rent it. And we can't leave it if you are wondering. No other ship owner agrees to take us to the land of snow. Said the manager with a much aggrieved tone. Sigh, sorry for your loss, but there is nothing I can't do. I sighed and got ready for a return trip. If I hurry, then most likely I can reach the village before night. Maybe? Hey, kid, the mission is not that hard. How about you just accept the mission? I will increase the pay a little if you want, said the manager with a coaxing tone. To this I just shook my head. There is no way that I am going out of the land of fire just because of some money. I just ignore him and start walking out, but that when he calls out, I will pay twice no thrice the money if you come. Said the man with hesitation. I stopped. You are currently paying 80,000 ryo for this mission. Just how much are you paying for that damn boat? Now I really was interested to know. More than 100,000 ryo. Reply to the man with hesitation. Oh, that sure is an expensive boat you hired. But still, it's not that much, why are you making such a fuss? Every day. Hey. We are paying that much every day to the boat manager. Nanny. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemand. Comment. 8 comment. Vote. Chapter 16. Are you sure that they can find her? They are dogs as you say, but by the look of them they look like wolves. The manager asked with clear suspicion on his face, but the man was clearly worried. The man ultimately convinces me to take the mission by giving me 3 times the money as he put in the request. Now I wasn't planning on taking the mission, but that is a lot of money. 160,000 ryo is enough for me to stay put in the village until the Chunin exam or get a good weapon like I wanted. Sigh, money ultimately won. And it's not like an accident has to happen here, right? They look like wolves, but I assure you they're dogs, so don't get confused or worried, and yes, they can find her, they are better than any damn mud out there, I replied with a sigh and kept on looking around while following my 2 dogs. Handing over something with Yuki's scent was enough for them to find her. I firsthand have seen their tracking powers, and I don't think anyone is better than them when it comes to tracking besides some ninjas with special Kekii Genkai. Why are they kept on running? Are you sure that they know where she is? Asked the manager as he huffed while running behind me and the dogs. They know, just keep on following, I simply replied and increased my speed as the dogs also increased their speed. Got her, I smirked and used Shunshin to directly appear in front of a bar where the the dogs stopped. She is in there, I just pointed, not planning to go in there myself, that would be a drag. Hey, what are you doing? Stop, he almost shouted as I grabbed him by the arms and pushed him inside. I won't say that I agree with your method, but good job, the manager sighed as both of us were standing on top of a ship. Ultimately I had to step in to help them. That actress is troublesome. She tried to run away again, I had to trap her with shadow possession and then knock her out with a sleeping potion. That time was enough for the entire crew to pack up and board the ship, with Yuki Fujikaze included. Now the damn princess was doing one of her acting while giving me and her manager a fierce glare. She doesn't know how she ended up sleeping for such a long time, I was discreet when putting her to sleep after all, but she is sure that it has something to do with me, at least her occasionally glaring at me and narrowing her eyes is anything to say. Time passed and soon we all found ourselves on top of glaciers, shooting for a movie. I decided to play Shikamaru's role, meaning mostly napping and slacking. Taking out a notebook, in which a lot of unknown characters were written, I started to read. These were my notes, or to be more exact my clone's notes on Fuinjutsu. I wanted to create a seal which can store chakra. Something like Yin seal, but this is where I will store the chakra I steal from others. The only problem is that it's hard as hell. Sighing, I just kept on putting all my grey matters on figuring out something which most likely many great men must have tried before me. As the shooting was going on, I was keeping an eye on Yuki and others. Honestly, I have to say that bodyguarding is a pretty boring job. While I was contemplating the life of a bodyguard, something happened. A shinobi with a strange look suddenly appears flamboyant style on the top of the glacier tip. There were more people as well, one girl and another man standing high on the ice spikes looking down on all of us. Everyone, go back to the ship, I immediately shouted as I rushed towards Yuki. She was their most likely target if they were targeting anyone. And even if not, I am getting paid to protect her, so I must protect her. Gamma, divine dogs, I shouted, and immediately my shadow extended. Coming out of it were many medium-sized toads and 2 dogs, one black and one white. The white one was almost invisible thanks to all the snow around. Shadow clone, next I form a chakra clone to cover Yuki. While I fight with those 3 shinobi, there has to be someone to cover Yuki and others. But still fighting 3 of them, and what the hell are they wearing? Some kind of armor? I zoomed past the closest enemy coming towards us on a skateboard. Toads nearby extended their tongue and grabbed all the crew members including Yuki Fujikaze and pulled them back, far away from the enemies. While the dogs kept up with the real me as I went for the fat man coming directly toward me on a skateboard. Taking out kunao, I masterfully threw them at the man. But the man didn't even bat an eye at the kunao, and soon I learned why. I am not sure why, but the kunao just got deflected. TCH. A little annoyed, I form a hand sign as soon the shadow under my feet move. The man was only a little bit away from me, but just when we were about to collide, the shadow connected and the man ended up tumbling down to the snow. Go! I shouted to the dogs. But to my surprise, I saw the dogs not being able to go near that man. It's like there is some kind of barrier around him. I narrow my eyes and quickly look at the 2 other shinobi moving towards where the Yuki was. Shit, this is getting out of hand. I mentally command the dogs to go after the 2 other shinobi who were going after Yuki while I rush up to the shinobi I caught. Maybe physical attack can't work, but how about this, I mutter as my shadow again rushes at him. The man seeing this just smirked. Now it was his time to get a surprise. His chakra armor didn't stop the shadow and directly made him freeze. Though it was my first time watching an armor like this, but for an Iron Man fan like myself I immediately understood how the thing worked. The man was able to touch himself, meaning his own hands were able to touch himself. From then on my job was simple, I quickly tossed a kunao at the man, and then made the man imitate me to make him catch the kunao. You. The man immediately understood what was going on. Yeah, the armor is smart but not more than your average MCU fan, I said as I acted like I was stabbing my own throat with kunao, and the man imitated it. While I didn't have any kunao on hand, the man wasn't that lucky. Woof, the dogs rushed at the 2 shinobis, well, one was a kunoichi, but whatever. The shinobi, even after seeing the dogs coming, never bothered to dodge the attacks, because none of them even touched him. Just then a kunao with many exploding tags attached to it comes rushing at the man. Boom. Finally, some damage was visible. But still, due to the armor, it was still a shallow wound. What the hell is this technique? Clone who was trying to protect Yuki, cursed with confusion on his face. Even explosion tags weren't working against them. Even the dog's steel-like claws are not enough to completely tear that armor apart. Troublesome bunch, the clone mutters and again sends kunao at the enemies. Who the hell are you guys? Clone, ask. Trying to buy some time while waving his hand to stop the constant useless attacks from the dogs. The toads were the last layer of defense here. You don't need to know. Just hand over the princess and we will go. We have nothing to do with you, Konoha Shinobi. Said the man with light blue hair. Princess? You got the wrong boat, brother. There is no princess here, just a bratty actress. Until you are a fan and can't tell reality apart from fiction. This ain't Princess Gale roleplay. Clone joked. Ha ha ha, you are the one who can't understand the reality. You have no idea who you are protecting all this time. That is not Yuki Fujikaze. That woman is the princess of the land of fire, Kaza Hanakoyoki. Announced the man, stunning the clone. The hell? Clone, who was planning a way to get out of this situation, lost his train of thought after this bomb blasted on his face. He was about to call DIPs at the bullshit, but then he saw something from the side of his eyes, making him stop. That. Konoha has nothing to do with this, I am only here because I was told to guard a celebrity. Clone said. That's even better, just hand over the girl and we will let you go. Said the man. Before the clone could react or do anything else, suddenly a shout came from behind the shinobi in the armor. Shadow Possession Jutsu, complete. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 9 comment. Vote. Chapter 17. I was able to capture one of the enemy shinobi thanks to them being absolute idiots and depending on that armor a little too much. Though it mainly because shadow possession work against them, still they were trash, they didn't saw me coming at all, and even after killing one I didn't get anything from the system, meaning their power wasn't more than Genin. Now that I had to kill a Chunin level or higher shinobi to get their power, I knew that they were not up to the mark. Though I believe they should be Chunin level at least power-wise thanks to that armor they were wearing. Of course, I took the armor, just in case it might be useful. But the biggest problem was that one of them, the Kunoichi to be exact, was able to get away. I knew when I captured that man that there is something missing. To the heat of the battle, I forgot that there were 3 enemies. To my utter irritation. She got that bratty actress. Why the fuck all the shitty C rank falls in my part? So of course I was irritated as hell and needed a late out. So, then came the interrogation part. It wasn't pretty, but it was as a shinobi I had to do so. Technically a Yamanaka should be a better option for this kind of job, but for a solo player like me, I am everything of this team. This kind of reminded me of the Waves mission. How Zabuza was after Tashina, only later that we all learned that the bridge builder lied to all of the cast. So of course I immediately turned to the manager and confronted him. It turned out that what those Snow Shinobi clowns said was true, Yuki really was Princess Kazahana. And this bastard didn't even say anything to him. A princess who long ran away from her land because her uncle killed her father and captured the land. What the hell? Why didn't you say that before? We never planned to go any closer to the land of snow, as I explained. Still, we are just in the glacier. I never planned to put anyone in danger. The request was guard duty just in case. I never, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. It's all pointless what he says now anyway. And here comes the biggest trouble. Konoha Shinobi Handbook says that if faced with this kind of situation outside war, the genin team should retreat at once, let alone a single genin. But if I go back now, then all this for nothing. I will get nothing in return as payment. Not to mention that bratty princess. What will happen to her? I can't help but grumbled internally, and then knowing the reality of the situation finally said. I will bring her back, I don't know how but I will. Just give me some time to think. I said to the manager as I sigh with obvious headache coming to my head. Later on, when the crew was on the border of the land of snow, because where else those thugs will bring the princess beside their base, which is Kazahana Castle, we all had to come to the land of snow. I left the crew to settle down. The manager too was apparently a warrior of the snow and working undercover decided to gather his men to attack the Kazahana Castle and infiltrate to save their princess, like that gonna work. By the way, that was the reason why that manager's financial skills are dog shit. I wasn't planning on doing this early, but considering who I might have to fight next, I knew that I needed to tame my next spirit. The greater the power of the summoned shikigami, the harder it is to tame it. I knew that to face the upcoming battle I need to tame the shikigami for sure. And I also knew that it's gonna be hard. Really hard. The next spirit was a bird called Nu. The biggest problem I'm gonna face when facing this particular shikigami is the flying height. And this is the reason I decided to find a tunnel. If the damn bird escaped my reach limit, then there is no way I can catch it. But inside a tunnel with both sides closed with traps, wires and bombs. That might just do the trick. The tunnel was dark and narrow, the perfect setting for my trap. I could hear the faint, electric hum of Nu's lightning crackling on him as he flies slow in the tunnel, a constant reminder that this shikigami actually have the power to kill me, not like the other two I contracted. My mind raced through the strategy I had meticulously planned. Everything had to go perfectly, there was no room for error. As I stepped into the tunnel, I summoned the first of my shikigami, the rabbits. They were swift and nimble, perfect for hindering the movement of the bird. They were small and no more strong than normal rabbits, but they had numbers on their side. Nu's lightning flickered, illuminating the tunnel in sporadic bursts. It was powerful, unpredictable. I needed to keep it grounded. Good thing I bugged enough shinobi wire to make his flying almost impossible. There is a invisible and strong razor-like wire waiting for that bird almost every few meters. My hands moved in the familiar seals, calling forth the second shikigami, the toads. They croaked as they materialized, their sticky tongues lashing out to anchor themselves to the walls and floor, creating a network of traps that would restrict Nu's movements even further. Nu shrieked, a sound that echoed off the tunnel walls, filled with both rage and fear. It unleashed a bolt of lightning that scorched the ground, narrowly missing one of the toads. I gritted my teeth and steadied my breath. I was hiding for the time being, otherwise that bird will fry me first. Shadow Possession Jutsu. My shadow elongated, racing along the tunnel floor, seeking out Nu. The creature tried to take flight, but the rabbits and toads created a chaotic barrier, forcing it back down. My shadow connected with Nu's, and I felt the familiar sensation of control as its movements mirrored mine. There was a little lamp I placed to just make enough light for me to see what's going on and make shadows move. But Nu was strong, its resistance palpable. Sweat dripped down my forehead as I struggled to maintain the jutsu. But this was still in the plan. My shadow without any hand sign expanded and the dogs hiding in my shadow immediately jump out. They appeared with a snarl, their keen eyes locked onto Nu. With precise coordination, they lunged, their jaws snapping shut just shy of Nu's feathers, hurting it further into the trap. HAAA. I immediately acted when the bird was grounded. Taking out the sword from my shadow, the very same which I used to train with Tenten, and attack Nu. Triple X. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 16 comment. Vote. Chapter 18. After a little rest and recovering my chakra, I was finally ready. I soars through the sky on top of his brand new spirit. I should have contracted this one before others. This one is awesome, mighty useful in almost all situations, defense, attack, travel, what more a man can ask for. In the tunnel I wasn't able to see the bird correctly, but now I can admire him. It was an bird, reddish brown bird with a human-like face, though the face strangely was made out of stone. It was big. The more chakra I put into it and bigger I could summon him, just my imagination has to be on the point. It took 2 hours to find the Kazahana Castle, and honestly I was a little afraid to fly on the back of Nu. It didn't even have seat belt. But once I get used to it, it was an amazing view, amazing and cold as fuck. Did I say how freezing cold this place was? Soon I found the place. A mighty castle was in view, though it was looking quite small from the height, but still it was impressive. This was Kazahana Castle in the Land of Snow. Infiltrating the castle was not hard at all, just identify an important character who will most likely go inside where Doto is or where Yuki is being kept. I entered into the shadow of an important looking guard and got inside. The guard didn't know anything. In fact, this was the best part about this shadow ability, that others couldn't sense it, but I am not sure about a sensor type ninja, and I doubt that anyone besides members of Hyuga and Naruto with Sage mode can find me. Upon finally entering the castle, I waited until there were not many people left in a single room. And when only 2 guards were left, the person in whose shadow I was hiding and another person, I deciding to act, extended my shadow as neither of the guards was paying attention and bind them. Rather than using shadow possession, which will let the man make noise, I use shadow binding to tie them up and even close their mouths before they attract unwanted attention. Making quick work of them, I was now ready to go after Doto and find Yuki. I made one shadow clone and both of us turned into the 2 men they just knocked out. I chose the more important looking man as I was going after Doto, while the shadow clone would find Yuki and bring her to safety. The clone navigated the labyrinthine halls with a purpose. He utilized the cover of darkness, slipping past guards and concealed alcoves with practiced ease. The urgency of the mission weighed on his shoulders as he sought to locate the bratty princess. His roam through the maze of the castle, analyzing patterns of patrol and predicting potential places where Yuki Cloud be. Clone moved with calculated precision, utilizing every shadow to his advantage, blending seamlessly into the environment. Clone assessed the situation, mapping out potential escape routes and analyzing the strength of the guards. He strategic mind calculated the odds, considering every possible scenario, in some way better than even the original. The clone extended tendrils of darkness to ensnare the unsuspecting guards. In a swift and silent motion, they were incapacitated, rendered powerless against shadow manipulation. With the path clear, the clone moved into action. His swift movements allowed him to reach Yuki's side unnoticed. With a deft touch, he severed the bindings that held her captive. Yuki's eyes widened in surprise and relief as she whispered, "You." The clone, donning a faint smirk, replied in Chika's voice, "Just a shadow clone, but yes, let's get Yui out of here." Of course, this led to some heated discussion about the possibility of winning again Doto among Yuki and clone, but ultimately the troublesome girl was convinced. Guiding Yuki through the shadows, the clone led her towards safety, leaving the castle's depths behind. That was his only mission after all. While my clone was escorting the princess, I finally found where Doto was. But before acting I needed a plan which would work against Doto, as most likely the boss is not an idiot and also has one of those chakra armor, and if he does then he has to have the best one out of all. Even with those inferior version of armor, using shadow possession is hard, a better armor in this time. Furrowing my brow, I just started to make a plan. Currently, I didn't particularly have any powerful attack that could pass through that armor. Right now I need to find a way to take down this guy. But how to break his armor, which he most likely will be wearing inside his clothes. If he has a better armor, which my guts say he does, even my shadow possession won't work. I don't have a powerful attack like Ray's Nan right now. How the hell I am supposed to do this? Do I even have to do this? Killing him is not important, clone would soon find that bratty princess and take her out. But what's the point? Until this man is here, I won't be able to take the princess out. Soon the guards will find out that something is wrong, then the entire country might be under lockdown. Sneaking her out of here will be hard. Even if I use her new and fly out, I don't think that I have enough chakra to do that. Meaning I have to take Doto out right here and right now. Think Shika, think. Now is the perfect time to put that Nara brain you got to use. Pull some Shikamaru level plan out of your ass. I huff and then sat down. Trying to contemplate every and all things I have going for me right now. And the try to use them to handle this guy. And then suddenly something come to me, like a light bulb lit up inside my head. That could work. If what I am thinking is right, then it could definitely work. But I have to be quick. Time in this situation is the most important part. If I can't hold that man back for long, or even one part of my plan didn't work, then I am doomed. XXX. I fully intend to fix all the mistakes you guys point out from now on, so please go ahead and tell me in the comments if you guys spot any mistakes. I will be grateful for all your help. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemand. Comment. 6 comment. Vote. Chapter 19. Huff huff. I ran after Doto as I found that he was going somewhere. I knew that this plan of mine would take time, but it took more than needed. But still, in 5 minutes, did all I could have. Good thing that I put a tracker on him. By the time I reached the place where Doto went, I was surprised. The snow-filled land was now green, the air was not chilled anymore, but it felt like spring had come to the land of snow. What the hell is going on? I questioned myself. Things now were getting more and more crazy in this place. I saw Doto standing alone and roaring with rage for some reason. I don't get it, what is he doing and what the hell with this place? How come it suddenly turns into spring? Doto had no idea that the treasure which he had been looking for so many years was nothing but a heater. He can't remember the last time he was this angry. He just wanted to now find that niece of hers and rip her apart with his own hands. Hey, ugly. Suddenly a shout came and Doto saw a child running towards him. The child was wearing a Konoha headband. It doesn't matter, right now he is so angry that he just wants to kill. So he rushes at him. And just as the boy was about to attack him, he punched him with all his power, his chakra armor making him stronger. Buff. Hey? The punch landed but the next second the boy in front of him turned into smoke. What? Doto now was a little confused. Doto. Another shout came and again the same boy came running towards him. He knew that this boy was a shinobi and was using clones. Ha! He shouted and again killed the boy but again he only found smoke. Doto. Again the shout came in from another place. Shika came running towards him. Few minutes later. Doto's rage grew with every passing second. He stood in the middle of the clearing, his eyes darting around, trying to spot the real Shika. But every time he thought he had found him, it turned out to be another shadow clone. Come out and face me. Doto bellowed, his voice echoing through the trees. But his only answer was silence, followed by another Shika clone charging at him. Doto swung his sword, cutting through the clone effortlessly. It vanished in a puff of smoke. He could feel his frustration boiling over. How many of these clones are there? He muttered to himself, wiping sweat from his brow. Another clone emerged from the shadows, rushing towards him with the same determined look. Doto snarled and slashed again, the clone disappearing like all the others. Where are you hiding? Doto yelled, spinning around, searching for any sign of the real Shika. He knew he was being toyed with, but he couldn't figure out where Shika was hiding or how he was making so many clones. Another clone attacked, and another, each one meeting the same fate. It was endless. Doto's arms grew tired, his swings less precise, but the clones kept coming, one by one. He felt like he was in a nightmare, trapped in an endless loop of fighting shadow clones. Genjutsu? No, impossible. Not with my chakra armor. I'll find you, you coward. Doto screamed, his voice hoarse. He tried to think of a strategy, a way to locate the real Shika, but his mind was clouded with anger and exhaustion. The clones were relentless, never attacking together, always coming one by one, driving him further into madness. Doto paused for a moment, trying to catch his breath. He looked around, his eyes wild. Think, Doto, think, he whispered to himself. He needed a plan, but every time he started to formulate one, another clone appeared, demanding his attention. He swung again, the clone disappearing into smoke. This is insane. Doto shouted, slamming his fist into a tree. He felt trapped, cornered by an invisible enemy. The real Shika was out there somewhere, watching him, orchestrating this torment. Doto tried to sense any chakra, any sign of the real Shika, but it was no use. The clones were perfect replicas, indistinguishable from the real thing until they were destroyed. He closed his eyes for a moment, trying to calm his mind, but another clone attacked, forcing him to react. How can you keep this up? Doto yelled, his voice cracking. He was getting desperate. His swings were slower now, his vision blurred with sweat and fatigue. The clones seemed endless, each one stepping forward as the last one fell. Finally, Doto stopped swinging. He stood in the middle of the clearing, panting heavily. Another clone appeared, and Doto raised his sword. But this time, instead of attacking, he took a step back. Why don't you just come out and fight? He called out, trying to stall for time, hoping to provoke a response. Well, actually this time I am the real one. Suddenly the voice came as he looked at the boy in front of him. He didn't believe the boy by just words, but what else he can do? He uses all of his chakra. He no longer has any chakra. And then suddenly his eyes widen. His chakra, there is no way that his chakra will run out this fast. It's barely been 10 minutes since he was fighting with these clones. What did you do? He asked with a little pale face. Only now that he realized when he was in his right mind that he was losing his chakra. Even when on using his chakra he was losing a bunch of it. He. So you finally realized, hey? Shika smiled. Who says that I am not a Nara? The idea I came up with here was even better than I imagined it would be. Let me explain what I did. I made a chakra clone after recovering my chakra from a nearby enemy I took down with shadow possession. And then did that again, but this time put a clone inside the shadow of another clone. Yup, even my clones can use 10 shadows powers. That was the very same clone which rushed at Doto. While that main clone died, but the other clone which was inside the first clone's shadow entered into Doto's shadow. From that point, my plan started. Then I just had to fight and capture a shinobi in Kazahana Castle and I consumed his chakra, refill a little bit of my chakra, I made a clone and sent it after Doto. That why Doto wasn't able to find me, because I wasn't here at all. He could only find the clones which I kept on sending at him. It was hard, no, who I am kidding, quickly taking chakra from so many people and assimilating it into my own chakra to continue to make clones was almost impossible, but I somehow pulled it off. Thud. I felt my legs give up and I slumped down. There was nothing left in my body anymore. Doing what I just did was very similar to what happened when Gojo used his technique for too long, I am talking about pre-awakened Gojo. He almost fried up his brain. I kind of feel the same here. Doto, who was on his floor, saw the boy in front of him fall to the ground as blood leaked from his nose. His eyes shone. Blood means that this was not a clone. He was the real. He grins. Though he was still not sure why he was losing chakra, but he knew that it had something to do with this Konoha Genin. Meaning all he has to do is to kill. Haha, boy, you shouldn't have come here alone in front of me. I don't know what you did to my chakra, but I still have enough in me to crush your head. Doto shouted as he struggled to stand up. At this point, his armor was weighing him down. So he removed it. I saw this with hazy eyes and with smile. Fool, who said I am alone? I wanted to say but couldn't but still smile. Thumb. Suddenly Doto's shadow under his feet expanded and from there came out multiple shika. Yeah boss, now leave this guy to us. Said 8 shika clones with unison. What? Doto's eyes widen. Not get what happened. How? I just can't help but smile after seeing his face. Let me explain. I wasn't sending all those clones for nothing. I did all this work just to give that one clone which slipped inside Doto's shadow enough time. Time to absorb his chakra. Doto would have realized something sucking his chakra if not for those clones. Though it's hard to find the clone in the shadow but it's impossible not to notice when someone getting all his chakra to suck. That is why I needed to buy him enough time. But that is not even the tip of the iceberg. Inside the shadow. My clone was using shadow clone jutsu to multiply. Here I use the concept of shadow clones. When someone uses a shadow clone, his chakra gets divided by 2. Consider that as a container. Now there are 2 equally half-empty containers. Then both the clones started to absorb chakra through the shadows, filling their chakra before repeating the process. And in the process making Doto loses chakra faster. Because now there are 4 clones sucking his chakra. And this all works thanks to my shadow clone. The one which I always leave in home. While mastering shadow manipulation, he created this method to use both chakra absorption and shadow possession together. Now as long as I connect with someone's shadow, I can draw their chakra. It's not as fast as direct contact like already seen here, but it saved the day. Make sure that you guys don't pop out together. I don't want another memories of absorbing chakra right now in my head. I said before finally passing out. XXX. I fully intend to fix all the mistakes you guys point out from now on, so please go ahead and tell me in the comments if you guys spot any mistakes. I will be grateful for all your help. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon on patreon.com/comedemand. Comment. 13 comment. Vote. Chapter 20. So let me sum this up. Once again the C rank mission you took turned into a higher rank mission. This time an almost borderline S rank mission. You only went there to save this celebrity but ended up getting dragged to go outside the land of fire to the land of snow. Am I right up to this point? Hiruzen Sarutobi asked with a tired sigh coming out of him. Yes Hokage-sama. I just nodded, trying to avoid a direct eye look. Then you and the client were attacked by 3 shinobi of the snow who was wearing some sort of chakra armor as you say. They were after the target you were supposed to guard. Hokage asked. You somehow was able to beat those shinobi because your shadow possession works on them while none other jutsu does. Using this you caught them off guard. Then you learned that the target you were protecting was none other than the princess of the land of snow, Koihoki Kazahana. Hokage asked with another sigh. Yes, Hokage-sama. While you were able to kill one shinobi and capture another. One of those shinobi was able to kidnap the princess. Then you decided to go after the princess to save her. Even after knowing that now the mission is already borderline S rank. Hokage asked with a deep voice. Yes. What else I can say? Sigh, you infiltrated the castle and saved the princess while giving a good beating to the man who kidnapped the princess. Her uncle Doto Kazahana. Am I missing something here? Hokage asked with a raised eyebrow. No, Hokage-sama. Then a little silence spread in the room. After I passed out, my clone took me out of there. Soon the princess took the throne in the absence of her uncle, and the people of the land of snow, or now the land of spring, fully supported her. Doto isn't death, I am not an idiot to kill royalty. They are the ruler of that place, Kazahana blood runs even in that man's blood, so I didn't do that. But I did make sure that he couldn't come after me before leaving that place. He. But in all this, I forgot something. I didn't send any letters back to the village. I stayed out of the village for more than 10 days. It's good that Princess wrote a letter to the Hokage when I was out. Otherwise, I am not sure what would have happened. I was out for almost 3 days by the way. Not doing that again if I can help it. Having refined all that chakra quickly and using it in battle takes a huge toll on one's body. But maybe I can moderately use the same kind of technique in a fight. Gotta look more into that. Sigh. Finally, the Hokage broke the silence. I am no sure what to say, my boy. You just kept on surprising me. Last time it was in borderline B rank mission. While this time in borderline S rank mission. Tell me, why did you take the mission when you knew that you have to go outside the land of fire in the first place? He asked while looking at me with curiosity. He paid well. I reply as I ruffle my hair and avoid eyes contact. The quest request is 80,000 ryo. Did the client promise to pay more? Hokage asked, now interested. I just nodded. 3 times more. To this Hokage's eyebrows raise. That is indeed quite some money, easily a rank mission pay. Hiruzen nodded. Now you have me interested though. How much that manager was paying for that boat? He asked. 100,000 ryo. I see. 100,000 ryo per day. Oh. Then a little silence again appears in the room, maybe in respect of that man's contribution to the economy of the land of fire. But you still shouldn't have accepted the mission just because of more money. Life always should take more priority. Hokage asked with wise words. Yes, Hokage-sama. Again, what else I can do but nod my head. But then suddenly he asked. Why did you decide to save her? Hokage asked, this time looking at me with intent. I wouldn't have gotten the pay otherwise, I reply. My boy, I know no Nara who will put some money above his life. Nara people are not that stupid. Certainly not you. I just wanted to save her. It feels wrong letting her go like that. I could help so I did. I reply. I see. Well, I can't punish you for putting your life in danger like that. Kaza Hanakoyoki personally requested not to blame you. Hokage replied with a smile on his face. She did. I asked with surprise. Yes, and that's not the only thing she wrote. She has a plan to open trade with Land of Fire and Konoha directly. All thanks to a certain motivated Nara winning her heart. Cough asterisk what? Haha. Don't worry my boy. Things are all good. Thank to you we seem to have a good relationship with the newly established Land of Springs. So while I can't punish you, I surely can reward you. Tell me Genin Shikanara. Is there something you wish to ask from me? As Hokage, if it's in my power then I would certainly do it. Hokage certainly asked with a grandfatherly smile on his face. Making me confused. But then I realized what he was doing. He was trying to bring me his in-faction right now. And if he is doing this then there is a possibility that the only other fraction in the village too has learned about me and what I did. Fuck, that Denzo now will be behind my trail. After thinking about it, I finally asked the man to answer some of my questions. Technically asked for a little bit of his time. Mainly asking him questions. What questions I asked? Well, questions like the fourth Hokage and how he used both Raise Nan and Flying Thunder God. Of course, I didn't ask for the method but more like how it felt like. Like I am personally trying to recreate the technique. Which I might with Raise Nan and then I will have an excuse to tell how I know the technique. Then I asked about Shadow Clone as I explained how I saw Naruto using those clones. Again something I did just so that in future I suddenly have to use the technique, I can just say that with the help of Hokage, I recreated the technique. And lastly some real questions about Fuinjutsu which I had. He was indeed as worthy to be said as professor. He explains everything well so that I can understand. Even gave me some Fuinjutsu scrolls to study. Pretty good. The man is not as bad as I thought. But again, he is a Kage, being able to act is in his nature. Anyway, with me only asking few questions to him about certain techniques and not asking for the techniques outright. Even if I end up showing techniques like Raise Nan or Shadow Clone in future, it won't cost me. At least I can say that I recreated the technique with his help. By the time I came back home, I felt a chill entering into my spine. I knew that I was forgetting something. He slowly turned back, only to see Auntie, Shikamaru's mother, was standing there with a sweet smile on her face. Aw shit, I am so dead. Triple X. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/Kamidemand. Comment. 10 comment. Vote. Chapter 21. Auntie is scary. I knew that thanks to growing up alongside Shikamaru, but that day, I am not sure which curse spirit took possession of her body, I am still shaking. I don't think that I will ever forget to write back to her if I ever end up taking a long mission from now on. No wonder both Shikamaru and Uncle are wiped. Sigh. Anyway, it's time to go back to my grind. After my last visit to the Land of Snow, I have realized that no matter what I still lack in a decisive powerful attack. I need something powerful. Earlier I didn't care because I thought I could just capture the enemy and then use the shikigamis, but after the last mission, it became clear to me that it's not always possible. So I have decided to refrain from taking any mission for the time being and focus on training. I have enough money thanks to the last mission anyway. I need a powerful technique. Something which can do more damage. We need to unlock more powerful shikigamis as well. Usually for a genin or any ninja for that matter, finding powerful jutsu is hard. This is why the bloodline Kekkei Genkai are so sought after in this world. With an affinity towards a particular power, one can become more powerful. Not to mention they have knowledge about that particular power, thanks to that power has been passed down in the clan for generations. Like Byakugan, the family created an entire fighting style around those eyes. In this regard, I am a little better because any other Naruto fan I too know how to train in one of the most iconic techniques in Naruto. The Raise Nan. But the problem is that I can't learn that technique yet. It needs too much chakra to pull it off. It's not like I didn't try it. But only after a few tries, before even being able to move the water balloon on my hand, let alone blast it, I was half down on chakra. It took too much chakra. At least the full-size powerful version of Raise Nan did. I have to wait a little before learning that technique. Until then I have no other way but to find an alternative. And thus after waking up today and putting my clone to sealing work again, much to his dismay, I run off to purchase a chakra paper for myself. This paper in Naruto shows one's chakra affinity towards elements. That was my plan for the time being. If I can't train in Raise Nan for the time being, then I can only go for training in chakra nature transformation. I took the paper and poured my chakra into it, but nothing happened. So I put more and observed the paper with intent. After some time I saw the paper was getting wet, and turning black. Water and yin. At least that is what I believe after seeing the paper turning black. However, I will still ask Shikako later on to make sure. For the time being, let's focus on water. I honestly wanted lightning. That is the most useful affinity, but gotta work with whatever I have. I have zero idea how to go about training this affinity. Sigh, seems like I have to visit the library again. After a quick visit to the library, I learned that chakra paper does turn black if one has yin affinity, but when I went there, I didn't find it. Anything related to chakra nature transformation is considered as advanced knowledge and is kept away from genin like me. Sigh. So now where the hell I am gonna find a teacher who can teach me water chakra transformation? I should try asking Shikaku, but I don't think he gonna teach me that right now. Especially after what happened in the last mission. Though only Anta nagged me, but he too was angry with me. And that happened only yesterday. Nah, I rather go and find Kisame to teach me over that. Not worried about Shikaku here, but if Anta learns that. I can only shiver at what happened yesterday. That woman is terrifying. Women indeed are troublesome creatures. Maybe I can ask the Hokage? But I don't think so that I can just disturb him for this. It's a different thing if I asked him while talking with him during mission briefing or something, but can't enter his office just for this. 1 minute. There is one person who can help me. Irika. He too is a chunin, and being a teacher he should at least know how to train in water style. Yeah, that could work for sure. I should visit him after the academy hours. Okay, let's do that. For the time being, let's start with some different training. Besides the natural affinity, the only other thing is unlocking the shikigamis. Now that I have time, I plan to unlock as many as I can. Though I most likely won't be able to use them in front of others, but having the option to use them is better than not having them. Alright, let's do that. Dash. After making sure what I needed to do, I started planning on how to do it. I have till now unlocked or exorcised 4 of the 10 shikigami. While all shikigamis have their own powers, but out of all of them are 4 special shikigami which I want. Of course one of them is Meihoraga, which I can't have, and one in which I already have, that being new. The last 2 are the Max Elephant and Round Deer. If I don't count Meihoraga, for obvious reasons, then these 3 are the most useful shikigamis. New can use lightning, Max Elephant can use water, and Round Deer can heal. This alone makes them really handy shikigami to have, but there is much more to this. In the manga, Sukuna uses Max Elephant's water without summoning the elephant when he is fighting Gojo. Now he only uses this power once and with only Max Elephant's water, but I believe that it's possible to do with all 3 mentioned shikigami. But I have to test it out. And to do that I need to first exorcise the last 2 shikigami. Let's start with Max Elephant. It's heavy and big. It lacks mobility, and even Megami in the anime was able to capture him. So it shouldn't be that hard. But still, let's not tempt it. I don't want a pink elephant wreaking havoc in Konoha. To handle this problem I spend some time to find the best place to summon this guy. And that being a bog. With his weight, that was the best place to summon him. Yeah, I play dirty like that. To find a bog, I come to the Forest of Death. This place is dangerous, but with new. I didn't even have to enter the forest. And when it comes to finding a bog, well, that was pretty easy. I summon rabbits and send them all around the forest. They quickly found a bog for me. With their quantity, it was quite efficient to do, honestly. This technique really has much potential. Just I have to put my mind to it. After landing I used water walking to walk on the bog and stood with a new hand sign. Pouring my chakra I waited. Blink blink. I pour more. Blink. Hell with this summon, how much chakra will it eat? I poured more and more chakra to summon Max Elephant, but it was taking too much. Almost half of my chakra. Shit. I just gritted my teeth and poured the chakra until my shadow finally started to move. And an elephant finally appeared from my shadow. Triple X. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 13 comment. Vote. Chapter 22. I honestly was expecting some kind of fight, but it was very easy to take the elephant out after his mobility was hindered. Even his water wasn't able to do anything in that bog, besides increasing the depth of the bog, that is. Killing him though was a little hard, but with some explosion tag, I managed it. I was certain now that the elephant was not suited for face-to-face fighting. I wanted to start the summoning ritual for the next shikigami, but I was already out of chakra. So can't do anything about it. It was time to visit Irika in the academy anyway. But how do I get out of this forest now? I came by flying on top of Nu. But now I am almost out of chakra. It took too much time to get out of that damn forest, but finally, I am here. In front of me was the academy, which I never got to experience. I am sure it would have been fun. It was already evening, I couldn't help but hope that Irika had some time for me. Entering the academy, directly went for the place where teachers usually sit. Irika-sensei, I called out as I saw only 4 people in the staff room. Irika was checking some paper, but upon seeing me there he showed a smile on his face. Shika. What are you doing here? Irika asked as he put his paperwork aside. Ah well, I actually wanted to ask you a question, Irika-sensei, if you don't mind, I asked. Sure, if I can help then I will. Ask away. Irika looked actually happy that one of his old students came back to him to ask him a question. Even looking a little eager to help. I just recently tested that I have water and yin affinity. I want to train in water affinity but don't know how to. And have no one to ask. Do you know how I can do so? I asked with a little helpless smile on my face. But after hearing what I said, Irika was surprised. Chakra nature transformation. That Chunin level skill Shika. Are you sure you want to learn something like that right now? It's gonna be hard. Irika asked with a little serious face. He has seen many students who want to just learn cool jutsus. And though it's better that they get stronger but only jutsu is not everything. He didn't want Shika to be like that. Yes, I have just recently been in 2 C rank missions. And I quickly realized that having a powerful technique can be a deciding factor between life and death. So I want to learn nature chakra transformation. I reply with a firm look on my face. But upon hearing this Irika looked even more serious and alarmed. C rank mission, last I remember you are not into any team. Though it's allowed but still you shouldn't take a C rank mission this early Shika. And what about this dead in life situation? What did you experience in this 2 C rank mission anyway? Irika asked slowly, remembering that we were not alone here. So he stood up and gestured for me to follow. He took me to an empty classroom and then finally asked me to explain. Sigh, well I can't explain everything, it's classified info now but to summarize what happened, the first C rank mission which was supposed to be a simple search mission turned into a kidnap mission and I ended up fighting a genin. And another one, I had to go out of the land of fire and protect a royalty there. Can't say more than that. Hokage-sama asked me not to. I replied but this much was enough to completely take Irika by surprise. Irika now have no idea what to say to his student. He pauses, trying to understand the situation. If even Hokage was involved and put the info as classified, then it must be important. Irika can't help but gasp. What have you been doing all this time? He almost said in a scolding tone. Though his worry about me was clear in his tone. Sigh, it's just my luck. I just took a simple C rank but both turned into far bigger than my pay grade. Now you understand right? That's why I need to want to learn water style. I asked Irika. Hearing this Irika, looking like he was contemplating things but he finally nodded. Okay, though I myself am not a water style ninja but I know how to train in it. But that is all I can tell you. Can't help you in this more than that. Irika replied. Hearing this my face lit up. That's fine Irika-sensei. That much too is enough to get me started. I finally know how to go about training in water style chakra nature transformation. It's actually quite simple. For wind chakra like how it was shown in the anime, one has to grind their chakra to make a sharp blade. For water, one just has to condense the chakra and make it flow like water. Water is the only nature beside earth which is hard to produce with just chakra. It has much more sustain than just fire, wind, or lightning after all. So it's advisable to rather control an already existing water body than to make water with your chakra. That will need a huge amount of chakra. A simple way to train in water style chakra nature transformation was to take a cup and completely fill it with water. Enough that it's almost close to spilling. Then one can try 2 different exercises in that. One is to place a leaf on that water surface and try to control it by rotating it with just controlling the water. And to make the water spill with by adding more water in there by condensing water with your chakra. These are the 2 simple basic ways to start the training. Seems like I need to give the clone something else to do. Let's do the ceiling at night, clone at home will do the water chakra nature transformation training full time from now. And when it comes to yin chakra. After talking with Irika, the only thing yin is useful according to him is Genjutsu. There are certainly other things but Irika don't know others. I am sure that Shikaka would know so I will ask him later. But when it comes to Genjutsu, maybe I should give it a try. XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 8 comment. Vote. Chapter 23. After a day of rest, I was ready to face another shikigami. This time, my target was the Great Serpent. Now this one wasn't in the plan but now that I have time then I better just do it. After all, I don't plan to take a mission for a long time. So it's best that get prepared. Not to mention, the Great Serpent might be the biggest shikigami out of all, it can actually fight with those giant summons which later appear in the series. It wouldn't be easy, but I had a plan. The Forest of Death was the perfect place for this battle as usual, the dark, dense, and full of narrow paths where the serpent couldn't do direct attack easily. If it were a little smaller then it would have been another thing altogether but with this size, it surely would be a hassle for him to move around in the forest. I prepared myself, going over the plan in my head one more time. I needed to summon the serpent in a tight spot, that he is most important, and then lure it into a trap I had set up earlier, filled with explosive tags. Fun fact I made them, I am getting better at Fuinjutsu. If everything went well, I could capture it without too much trouble. As I entered the forest, the familiar eerie silence greeted me. The trees loomed overhead, their branches intertwining like a cage. I honestly am not a fan of this forest, it always gave me an eerie feeling, even last time when exorcising the elephant, I felt like this. I quickly found a good narrow path with the help of rabbits, the perfect spot to summon the serpent. My heart pounded in my chest as my chakra started to rile up, but I steadied my breath. Slowly I pour my chakra into my shadow while making a particular hand sign which looks like a serpent while, A fun fact is that this is the only shikigami which needs one hand to summon. I performed the hand seals, feeling the chakra flow through me. Great serpent! I called out, and the air around me got heavy. This feeling was much different than any other spirit I had summoned so far. The ground trembled, making me tense a little. This really never happened before, and then a massive form of the white serpent materialized before me, its eyes glowing with malice. My eyes shot up with alarm. That size is not just big, it's massive. It's definitely equal to those boss-level summons. What the hell? The serpent hissed, lunging at me with incredible speed. I barely dodged its first strike, feeling the wind from its movement brush against my face. Shit, what the point of doing all that planning when this guy can just break all those trees in his path? No, just move, there are other ways. Just keep your distance and hide, wait for your time. I muttered to myself, dashing down the narrow path, making sure the serpent followed me even deeper into the forest. I don't want those ambu to come rushing here anytime soon. Why the hell it's so big? In the anime it was big but not this big. The trees blurred past as I ran, the serpent hot on my heels. I could hear its massive body crashing through the underbrush, relentless in its pursuit. My lungs burned, but I couldn't afford to slow down. The trap was just ahead. Nu, Gamma. I immediately made multiple hand signs and brought out all my other shikigamis. Go and distract the guy Nu, I said to the bird, and it immediately flew high with lightning flickering around its wines. Toads, go use the tongue to slow that damn snake, I commanded both the spirit as I rushed forward. And though they did work, but with that massive size, it was almost impossible. I reached the clearing where I had set up the explosive tags, taking out a few more doors and tags just in case and throwing them around and then replacing myself with a clone. This was it. I skidded to a stop, turning to face the serpent. It reared back, ready to strike, but I was faster. I threw a kunao, laced with chakra, right at the nearest tag. Boom. My ears were booming by this point. That blast was so powerful that it almost knocked me back. The explosion was deafening. The ground shook, and flames erupted around the serpent, engulfing it in a fiery inferno. I shielded my eyes from the blast, hoping the tags would be enough to subdue it. As the smoke cleared, I saw the serpent thrashing, struggling to escape the burning debris. It was weakened but not defeated. What the hell? It's not done? How the hell did Sukuna kill this guy that easily then? Well, that's Sukuna, but still he was only at 15% of his power. I can't help but ponder what kind of horror Sukuna would have been with full power and Gogo fought him and Mahoraga alone. Damn. Shadow Possession Jutsu. I didn't give him more time to heal, my shadow stretching across the ground, reaching for the serpent. It connected, and I felt the familiar tug of control. The serpent's movement slowed. But damn, that snake is strong, it was just so easy to capture the elephant. Just explain how capturing some shikigamis is much easier than others. Got you, I whispered, tightening my grip. The serpent hissed, but it couldn't break free. Or more like it wasn't trying, it was tail-veiling in pain. I poured more chakra into the jutsu, forcing it into submission. Now Nu, I shouted, and that was when the bird carrying a bag of explosive tags flew by, dropping the bag right at the serpent's mouth. Boom. Another big explosion happened, but this wasn't that big. I was running out of explosion tags there. But it finally did the deed. I released the jutsu, watching as the serpent's form shimmered and dissolved into my shadow. Exhaustion washed over me, but I felt a sense of accomplishment. I have to say that was stronger than I anticipated it to be. Shikigamis are really getting stronger the higher up I go. But maybe mainly because this was an attack-type shikigami. Elephant wasn't, and that's why contracting him was so damn easy. Phew, with all the ruckus I cause, there is no way I can use this place anytime soon. I knew that Ambu might have already come to this place, so I immediately removed all my other shadows and used Nu to fly high. So up that others can't notice me. With the coverage of the forest, it's almost impossible to stop a bird anyway. I can't use this place for some time now. I better start to find another place, to summon the other shikigamis. But with that said, this serpent was big enough that it can even fight with those big boss level summons. I really got something good this time. XXX. I fully intend to fix all the mistakes you guys point out from now on, so please go ahead and tell me in the comments if you guys spot any mistakes. I will be grateful for all your help. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemand. Comment. 8 comment. Vote. Chapter 24. Capturing the Great Serpent had drained my chakra completely. Making a clone to distract the massive snake, then summoning 2 different shikigamis, yet it was exhausting. And the worst part was that the majority of my chakra was consumed by the snake itself. And after that, I had to run away from there to ditch the Anbu. Sigh, I am beaten and it's not even past 12 morning. I could barely stand, so I decided to head to the Ichiraku ramen shop to get something to eat and recover my strength. The familiar aroma of ramen greeted me as I walked in, and my stomach growled in anticipation. This place was quickly turning into my go-to whenever I just needed something quick to fill my stomach. I took a seat at the counter and ordered a large bowl of miso ramen. That one is my favorite. I can see why Naruto likes this so much. Though I am not that huge of a fan, but still I love it. I look at the noodle uncle with a keen eye. All that fanfictions didn't do me any good when he turned out to be an Akatsuki. I mean honestly, how come this normal ramen shop owner survives for this long in this world? While I waited for my food, I glanced around and noticed a group entering the shop. 3 kids my age and a beautiful woman with an alluring figure. But more than anything her dress was made out of bandages. There is only one person in the entire Konoha who wears clothes like that. It was Team 8, led by Kurane-sensei, along with Hinata, Kaiba, and Shino. My excitement surged. This was my first time meeting any of the Konoha 12 team, yet I meet Tenten quite often now, but still meeting more characters from the main cast just feels like a novel experience, and I had a lot of questions for them. As they settled at a nearby table, I gathered my courage and approached them. Nice to meet you Kaiba, Shino, Hinata. And this must be your Jonin-sensei, right? Nice to meet you Ms. Kurane, I greeted, trying to sound casual. Kaiba and Shino seeing me just waved their hands while Hinata just shyly nodded. Kurane smiled warmly. Oh, you know me. I assume is he your classmate? Kurane turned to her Genin team and asked, and upon getting a confirmation nod she turned to me and asked. You seem to know me. She said, but it was clearly a question. Yeah, your name is in the bingo book. You are among the few kunoichi who have their name in the book, especially in Konoha. I remember you are a Genjutsu expert. I chimed, sounding excited to meet her, more or less because I kind of excited. Kurane-sensei, I never knew you were famous. Kaiba hearing me say this looked back at her sensei and asked. I don't have that big of a bounty, it's actually pretty impressive that you even know I am in the bingo book. Kurane smiled and asked, saying this to her Genin team who was sending curious glances at her while she herself felt a little happy seeing someone recognized her, a little smirk playing on her lips. Yeah, there are a lot of entries, remembering them all is hard. But I remember you specifically because I was looking for a good Genjutsu user along Konoha Shinobi. I reply, making her raise her eyebrows a little at this. She seemed to want to talk and say something, but I looked back at Kaiba there and said. I actually was looking for you too Kaiba, wanted to ask about ninja dogs. Kaiba's eyes lit up. Oh, you come to the right person then, ask anything you like. I'm curious about how to train them, I said. And what basically they can do, like how far a normal nindog can track a lead and without any ninjutsu how strong they should be in a fight. Hearing this Kaiba looked excited, clearly a dog lover, he leaned forward, excited to share his knowledge. That's quite specific of you, but as much I know, a good ninja dog can track a target from miles if the scent is available, and in a fight without ninjutsu, they are about any other normal dog, just a little more skilled. Kaiba hum and answer. Why do you ask, are you looking to get a ninja dog for yourself? Asked Kaiba with curiosity. No, I actually have them. 2 of them. Found them in one of my missions and I contracted them as summons. Just wanted to learn more about having nindogs. They are quite a partner for solo genin like me. I replied with a smile, everything I said was of course real. Hearing me Kaiba showed a surprised look, contracting a nindog from outside the village was rare. Others who were listening to this also seemed to be interested in this talk. That's quite something, finding a nindog outside the village is rare, especially when they are summoned beasts. Mind letting me see them? Kaiba asked, more eager to now see my divine dogs than to eat his bowl of ramen. Sure, but can't do it right now. I just came after training and am low on chakra. Maybe next time. I explained to Kaiba, and by this time my own ramen arrived. I dug in while listening intently to what other things Kaiba had to advise about ninja dogs. After a while, I turned to Kurane. Now observing her more closely, I have to say that she is more beautiful than she looks in the anime. But those red eyes are a little unnerving to be honest. Kurane-sensei, I've been trying to improve my genjutsu skills, I said. I've heard you're an expert. As I said, I was looking for a good genjutsu user. If I knew that you are Kaiba, Hinata and Shino's Jonin-sensei, then I long would have come to you. Would you mind giving me some tips? I am a complete beginner. I politely asked. She clearly doesn't have to, but as a junior, if I asked her politely, maybe she would. Who knows, wonders could happen if only one dared to ask. Kurane's expression softened. Genjutsu requires a lot of focus and a deep understanding of the mind. Start with simple techniques and practice visualizing the illusions you want to create. Meditation can help improve your concentration. And remember, the key to effective genjutsu is subtlety. Sometimes, the smallest illusions can have the biggest impact. I nodded, absorbing her advice. Thanks, Kurane-sensei. I'll definitely work on that. Kurane nodded at this, but then suddenly asked me. Why are you trying to learn genjutsu though? She looked curious. Well, I recently learned that I have yin release chakra. That is good for genjutsu, right? It's kind of also adds up with how I do missions. Works well with my long distance shadow possession jutsu. I reply with a little laugh. To this others look a little confused. What is yin release? Asked Kaiba. Even Hinata looked confused at this. Only Shino looked like he knew, and to he only raised his eyebrows, maybe the most amount of expression he is capable of. Hearing this, Kurane might be the most surprising one out of the bunch. She looks at me now with a little different look. Kurane-sensei. What's yin release? Asked Kaiba while Hinata too looked curious at this. Yin release is the ability to use the spiritual part of the chakra separately in its own base form. It's a very rare type of chakra nature affinity. One of my past students used to have that. And you are right, Shika, yin release is essential for something like genjutsu. Though anyone with the right degree of chakra control can master genjutsu, but those who have the ability to use yin release, their genjutsu powers are something else entirely. Kurane said, explaining to his genin. Making them also look at me with a little surprise. How did you know that you can use yin release Shikakun? Kurane now asked with interest. Kun. I can't help but repeat that in my head. Chakra paper, I have 2 nature affinities. Besides yin, I can also use water. So when I pour my chakra in a chakra paper, besides getting wet it also turns into black. I of course didn't know that it was yin release, so I looked it up in the library. I reply, wondering why she cares that much, but again her entire thing is genjutsu and being sexy, so who knows? Kurane and then suddenly her hand flicked and she took out a chakra paper from somewhere. Try doing the same here. She asked as she handed the paper over. I took it with confusion. Not sure why I have to do that, but whatever. The paper is lightly warm. Where did she take this paper out? I just poured my chakra in and the result was the same. Besides getting wet, it also turns dark. Kurane seeing this finally settled down, and though she was trying hard to hide it, but I did see a little smile on her face. After that, the conversation slows down, while Kurane seems to think something. But then finally she said. How about you train with us one of these days? I am sure that will help all of you, Genin. Kurane offer while looking at me with intent. I at this was again surprised. Why suddenly ask this? XXX. I fully intend to fix all the mistakes you guys point out from now on, so please go ahead and tell me in the comments if you guys spot any mistakes. I will be grateful for all your help. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemand. Comment. 13 comment. Vote. Chapter 25. The next morning, I woke up early, eager to visit Training Ground 8. Kurane-sensei had invited me to learn Genjutsu from her, and I was excited to get started. Before heading out, I decided to summon my 2 divine dogs. I didn't want anyone to know about my 10 shadows technique, so it was better to have them with me already. And of course to put my clone on his daily chakra nature transformation training. I am not sure why Kurane seems to be so interested in me after knowing that I have yin release, but it's good for me. If I can learn Genjutsu under her, then that's awesome. With everything set, I made my way to Training Ground 8. This was the first time I was walking around with my divine dogs, so I was surely getting looks, but that's fine, they are just dogs, so that's not that big of an issue. The sun was just rising, casting a warm glow over the village. When I arrived, I saw Team 8 already there, practicing their own techniques. Kurane-sensei spotted me and waved at me. Good morning, Shika, she said with a smile. Are you ready to start? Kurane asked. She also glanced at the 2 dogs following me while waggling their tails. But didn't comment anything about them. Yes, Kurane-sensei, I replied, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Kaiba and Akamaru were practicing some new moves nearby. Kaiba looked up and immediately came over. Kaiba was just excited to see the dogs I was talking about, while Akamaru looked a little afraid around those dogs. Whoa, I don't know this breed. What is this sign on their forehead? Kaiba asked curiously when he looked around the dogs. Good thing that I already instructed them not to attack anyone until I gave specific orders. Don't know, but these 2 are awesome, I said, grinning. And thanks for all the advice yesterday about ninja dogs. The food you suggested to me, they like it quite a bit. To that last point, even I am surprised that they can eat. Good, haha, Kaiba said. You mind if I take them on a run? They look really fit. And smell strong. I at this just blink. Take them on a run, they are not a car. And what does that even mean, that they smell strong? Sure. I just nodded anyway and mentally commanded the dogs to listen to Kaiba for the time being. What are they called? Before going he asked. That one is Snow and this one is Shadow, I explain. But to this, he gave me a look, like asking, are you serious? What? You seriously name them after their fur color? Yet. Kaiba just shook his head and took the dogs away. Making me confused. What is wrong with the name? Back to others. Hinata was practicing her gentle fist technique, and her Byakugan activated. She paused and gave me a shy smile. Good luck, Shika. Genjutsu can be challenging, but I'm sure you'll do great. Thanks, Hinata, I replied, appreciating her encouragement. The girl sure is nice. Naruto sure got it good. If only there were more girls like her in the anime. On the other side, I saw Shino and just gave him a little nod, which he appreciated. Kurane-sensei clapped her hands to get everyone's attention. Alright, let's get started. Shika, come with me. We'll begin with the basics of Genjutsu. I followed her to a quieter area of the training ground. She began by explaining the theory behind Genjutsu. Genjutsu is all about controlling the opponent's mind. You create illusions that can deceive their senses and manipulate their perceptions. It requires intense concentration and a deep understanding of how the mind works. Same exact explanation as yesterday, but I don't know how to exactly do that. She demonstrated a basic Genjutsu technique, casting an illusion that made it seem like the trees around us were swaying in a strong wind. See how subtle it is? The best Genjutsu are the ones that seem like part of the natural world. I nodded, trying to absorb everything she said. That's almost like it was really happening. I can't help but praise. I felt that I would feel something wrong with my chakra, but nothing, it felt as natural as breathing to me. Okay, I will give it a try, I reply after learning the hand signs from her. Closing my eyes, I focused on my chakra, imagining it flowing out and creating an illusion. I pictured the trees swaying, just like Kurane-sensei had shown me. When I opened my eyes, I projected my chakra on Kurane-sensei and saw her eyes getting glassy and going out of focus for a second before she regained control. Good start, she said encouragingly. You did good, but here is a little problem with what you did. You try to exactly copy what I show you. That is not right. To make it a copy you were focusing the genjutsu to bend as you remembered it, which kind of distorted the illusion. It immediately gave it away. Remember, even an artist can't make an exact same painting twice. There are always differences. So trying to do that in a genjutsu is even more pointless. Don't bother copying but rather imagine your own style. You have to picture it well, with all the details as you can. From the wind direction to the smell in the air. From the subtle sound, the genjutsu should have to the obvious places the target will more focus on. She patiently explains and I listen with intent. She only showed me once basic genjutsu hand sign and then left me to train. I practiced for a while, each attempt getting a bit better. Kurane-sensei guided me from time to time, offering tips and corrections. Her patience and expertise were invaluable, and I could feel myself improving with each try. But with this also comes the question of why suddenly she is helping me out. After a few hours, I managed to create an illusion that made the trees sway convincingly. Kurane-sensei smiled, clearly pleased with my progress. Well done, Shika. You're picking this up quickly. Much better than when I started back then. There was a genuine smile on her face. I nodded, feeling a sense of accomplishment. Thank you, Kurane-sensei. If you don't mind, then may I ask you a question? I asked, after pondering a little. She looked at me at this and then nodded. I was wondering why you are suddenly helping me like this. I really appreciate your help, but I am not even in your genin team or anything. So? I asked with a little hesitation. Wanting to know her motives was my curiosity, but if that cost me this chance to learn under her, then it's not worth it. She, hearing this, just smiled back at me. Because I believe that you have the talent. You see, Shika, yin release is a rare chakra affinity. It doesn't appear on people often, even among Nara clan people, despite them being so close to shadows. I had a student who had yin release before. She was fabulous in genjutsu. But ultimately she couldn't become a ninja. I somewhat feel like that was my fault. You have talent, Shika. Being able to learn genjutsu on the first try itself explains that. That's why I want to help. It just feels like I have a chance to fix what I did wrong back then. Kurane said, the last part only in whisper. I honestly have no idea what she was talking about. Never knew something like this happened in the anime. But again, I skip almost all the fillers, but maybe it could be. Maybe that last snow mission was also in the anime, and so was that last C-rank mission. Maybe. I understand, Kurane-sensei. I promise that I will give my best to learn genjutsu from you. I reply with confidence. To this, Kurane just smiled back. Dash. Soon Kaiba walked over, Akamaru by his side. How's it going? Pretty good, I said. Kurane-sensei is a great teacher. No doubt about that, Kaiba said with a grin. Hey, what you feed those dogs? They are insane. I have never seen dogs so powerful as them before. Their reaction time, intelligence, and speed is out of the world. Kaiba asked with amazement on her face. Woof. Akamaru also chimed in. Just normal woof. I mean food. They always have been strong. I am not sure. Maybe something to do with their breed? Don't know. I just reply, not wanting to continue the topic. Hey, mind bringing them to my house? I know my mom will love to meet them. Kaiba's eyes shine and mine at the same time feel dull. I rather not do that, thank you. Okay, but currently I don't have much time. Really need to finish this genjutsu here. Maybe next time. Okay. By the way, where are they? I asked. Oh, they are racing with each other. I just wanted to test out how fast they are, but both Akamaru and I lost almost immediately. Kaiba said with a little embarrassed laughter on his face. I just sweat drop. Dash. Later on, Kurane had to go and train with others, so I ended up getting Aper with Hinata. You did well, Shika. I could see your progress from here. Thanks, Hinata, I said, appreciating her kind words. By the way, Hinata. Do you also know how to use genjutsu? I asked. No, I never learned that. She shyly replies. Why, with your good chakra control and Jujutsu you can become a really good genjutsu user. Not to mention you have Kurane-sensei as a teacher. I. Hinata presses her hands together, not saying anything for a while, finally saying. Tried but can't use any technique which can put others in a genjutsu for long, Hinata replied, and this puzzled me. What does that mean that she can't? XXX. Here is the goal for this week. 500 plus stones for the first bonus chapter on Monday. 1000 plus stones for the second bonus chapter on Sunday bonus chapter. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to read up to 20 plus chapters in advance, check my Patreon. Patreon.com/comedemond. Comment. 5 comment. Vote.